The story begins with a quick flashback about Rentaro, who has 100 soulmates, and how Rentaro gradually makes each soulmate his girlfriend. Right now, he has 6 girlfriends. One day, Hyakkano gathers everyone and states that relationships often hit a phase of boredom after 3 months. Fast forward to the present, it's been more than 3 months since this all started dating Rentaro, and now it's a big problem. The other girls start to worry. Hyakkano mentions she's only been on 2 dates with Rentaro so far. Karani panics, thinking Rentaro might get bored of her. The other girls feel the same. To fix this, Hyakkano says she has a plan to fix this problem. Just then, Futsuri comes in and tells them that she has created a reborn self-medicine. She claims it will make Rentaro love them as if it's the first time. While she mixes the formula, there's suddenly a huge blast. Hearing the blast, Rentaro runs to the scene in a panic. He shouts that it's only been a few minutes since the episode started, and they already caused trouble. A shocking twist follows. Everyone's souls have swapped bodies. Rentaro becomes worried as the girls explain what happened. They admit they were trying to experiment with the medicine to make him love them more, but it backfired. Rentaro decides they need to figure out who's in whose body. Hyakkano wakes up in Nama's body, and it's clear she has no idea how to control it. She walks awkwardly toward Rentaro and grabs onto him for balance. Rentaro immediately realizes it's Hyakkano. Meanwhile, Kuzuri, now in Hyakkano's body, is full of energy. She starts bouncing around but suddenly feels an unusual urge to relieve herself. Thinking she's still in her own body and wearing a diaper, she gets ready to go. Nana, who is in Shizuka's body, quickly stops her and drags her to the bathroom. Rentaro figures out Kuzuri is in Hyakkano's body. Next, Rentaro looks for who's in Kusuri's body and sees Hari rolling on the floor, bouncing excitedly. She is happy that she can go wild in her new body. Without needing an explanation, Rentaro knows it's Hari. Meanwhile, Karani, now in Hari's body, is having too much fun. She starts playing with her chest, then yells at Rentaro to stop staring. Rentaro immediately recognizes her as Karani. As for who's in Karani's body, Rentaro notices someone standing quietly with a calm, shy smile. It's Shizuka. Her aura gives her away even though she can't speak. Finally, Rentaro realizes Nano is in Shizuka's body. Now that he's sorted everyone out, Rentaro wonders how to fix this. But the girls are too busy enjoying their new bodies. Suddenly, Hari, still in Kusuri's body, announces that only a miracle, a kiss from the prince, can solve this problem. Hari pulls Rentaro onto her lap and gently pets his head, telling him that good boys like Rentaro deserve treats. Before anyone can stop her, she kisses him. Following this, her soul leaves Kusuri's body, leaving everyone shocked. After that, Nano, who is in Shizuka's body, walks up to Rentaro. She gently asks him to lower his head and tells him not to worry. Without hesitation, Shizuka kisses Rentaro. As soon as she does, Nano's soul leaves Shizuka's body. Next, it's Kusuri's turn. She steps up to Rentaro, standing unusually close. Since she's in Hyakkano's body, she can't help but admire how graceful and curvy it feels. Rentaro quickly stops her and tells her to kiss him already. Kusuri follows his order and kisses him, causing her soul to leave Hyakkano's body. Then Shizuka nervously steps forward, asking Rentaro when her turn will come. Rentaro starts sweating nervously. Shizuka notices and shows concern, but Rentaro reassures her he's fine. He braces himself as she kisses him, which causes Shizuka's soul to leave Karani's body. Rentaro looks around for who is next. Hari, still in Kusuri's body, believes they should end this mess already. Rentaro finds her cute, which annoys her even more. She starts walking away, saying she's going back to class, but Rentaro stops her and asks for one last chance. Hari blushes and lets Rentaro kiss her. Hari's soul leaves Kusuri's body. Finally, it's Hyakkano's turn. Standing in Nama's body, she finds the atmosphere so romantic. With a heartfelt look, she confesses her feelings to Rentaro. Smiling warmly, Rentaro kisses her. With that, Hyakkano's soul leaves Nama's body and everyone returns to their original forms. Once everyone is back to normal, they become relieved. The girls are excited, while Rentaro stands in the middle, breathing heavily. He's amused, thinking about how he just got 6 kisses from 6 different girls in such a short time. Hyakkano asks Rentaro how he feels about today's little experiment. Rentaro admits that it was fun. Hyakkano felt relieved as it wasn't exactly what she planned, but at least they made the day special. Rentaro smiles and says he loves all of them just the way they are. The girls are surprised by his sweet words and suddenly rush toward him, taking turns kissing him again and again. Rentaro realizes that fate won't let him off with just 6 kisses today. The scene shifts to a girl walking alone. Meanwhile, Rentaro is in the cafeteria deciding what to eat. His eyes land on some egg toast and he lights up with excitement. As he reaches for it, his hand bumps into someone else's. He looks up and his eyes meet a strange girl. Suddenly, a soulmate current flows between them and Rentaro gets to know she is his 7th soulmate. When Rentaro notices her uniform and realizes she's a middle schooler, the girl defends herself, saying there's no rule against middle schoolers visiting the high school cafeteria. Rentaro, still processing everything, tells her to go ahead. The girl checks her pockets for money to buy the egg toast but finds nothing. She becomes embarrassed and walks away without buying egg toast. Later, sitting on a bench, the girl feels her stomach growl. She looks upset, with no money to buy food. Suddenly, Rentaro shows up, holding the same egg toast. He offers her half. The girl is annoyed, thinking he's being creepy. Rentaro calmly explains that he changed his mind about eating it and thought of sharing it instead. At first, she refuses, saying she doesn't take food from strangers, but her growling stomach betrays her. After a moment of hesitation, she accepts. Before eating, she clasps her hands together and gives thanks for the food. As she takes a bite, her face lights up with joy. She savors every bite, admitting she heard her friends talk about a movie where someone ate this and wanted to know how it tasted. She apologized for being rude earlier, explaining she was just really hungry. Rentaro reassures her it's no big deal. As she eats, she starts opening up about her struggles. She shares how she always feels tempted to eat whatever she sees or hears about, making life hard for her. To resist, she usually wears a hoodie and headphones to block out tempting sights and sounds. The girl explains right now she removed them because she wanted to fully enjoy the experience. It's her way of respecting the food. When she finishes, she clasps her hands together again to give thanks and gets up to leave. Rentaro quickly calls out, asking for her name. The girl turns with an irritated look and accuses him of flirting with her. As she walks away, she feels her heart is racing. The next day at lunch, the girl walks angrily through the hallway as she hears her classmates talking non-stop about a sandwich. Everyone's excited about it, and it's driving her crazy. The girl suddenly craves one and rushes to the cafeteria to buy it, but it's already sold out. Just then, Rentaro shows up and asks about her craving. Annoyed, she questions why he's in the middle school cafeteria. Rentaro defends there's no rules stopping him from being there and explains he came for the same sandwich, only to find it sold out there too. Noticing similar sandwiches on the shelf, Rentaro suggests trying one of those instead. The girl decides to leave and get the sandwich from a convenience store. Rentaro stops her, reminding her that middle school students aren't allowed to leave campus during recess. He offers to go for her instead. The girl becomes furious and tells him to stay out of her business and leave her alone. Later, the girl is seen coming out of the convenience store empty-handed. The sandwich is sold out there too. Hungry and upset, she wonders how it could be sold out everywhere. Her frustration builds as she starts to blame herself for being irritated, snaps at people, and ends up feeling lonelier than before. As she walks, she thinks about Rentaro. Despite how kind he was, she had pushed him away too. She feels hungry, angry, and convinced there's nothing good about her. With nothing else to do, she decides to return to school. When she arrives at the gate, she sees Rentaro waiting for her at the school gate. Rentaro tells the girl to follow him. The girl becomes curious and goes along. When she sees the sandwich she's been craving right in front of her, she's stunned. Her anger flares up and she snaps at Rentaro, saying that she doesn't need his help. But Rentaro calmly says he needs her help with the other half, just like yesterday. Hungry, the girl gives in and starts eating. Instantly, she feels happy and finds the sandwich delicious. She asks how Rentaro found the sandwich. Rentaro explains that he got permission to make it himself. He even shares the recipe, showing how much effort he put into it. That's when she notices his hands are burned from cooking. The girl becomes sad and asks why Rentaro is being so kind to her, especially after how rude she was to him. She points out that he doesn't even know her name. Afterward, Rentaro talks to his girlfriends about Kurumi, asking if they would accept her as his 7th girlfriend. The girls express concerns about Kurumi's personality. Rentaro explains that Kurumi tends to get irritable when she's hungry, which can make her seem unfriendly. Suddenly, Kurumi interrupts, stating that, aside from Rentaro, she has no interest in talking to anyone else. The other girls become worried about how she might fit into their dynamic. Nano, staying calm and logical, points out that arguing about inefficiency won't help the situation. This sparks doubt among the group, with some wondering if they're really as close as they thought and whether their friendships might change. Nano reassures them by revealing she doesn't spend time with them out of obligation, but because she genuinely loves and values each of them. The girls are touched and express their love and appreciation for Nano. Rentaro then shares exciting news: a food festival is coming up and the prize money is substantial. He suggests they all enter together. However, Kurumi decides that she doesn't meet anyone else and plans to compete alone. She believes teaming up with small eaters will only slow her down and lead to unnecessary conflict. Ahara tells Kurumi that middle school students need a guardian to participate in the festival. Kurumi realizes that both her parents work on Sundays, but still wants to enter. Kurumi finally asks Ahara if she could pretend to be her mom and sign her up. Ahara happily agrees. With that, they all decide to join the competition together. The food festival begins and everyone gathers for the competition. The rules are simple. Each team has 10 players and there are 5 rounds. Players can switch in and out anytime, and the team with the highest score at the end wins. The commentator explains the rules with bold visuals to keep the audience entertained. Karani is annoyed by the commentator. Rentaro enters the competition to help everyone get to know each other, especially Kurumi, and make sure everyone works well together. The first round begins, and the challenge is to eat as much rice as possible. The side dishes don't count for points. The goal is to eat as much rice as they can. Kajiri encourages everyone to eat, but Hyakkano worries about getting too full after the qualifiers. However, Kurumi confidently says she'll qualify on her own and pushes others aside. This makes everyone mad, and Karani thinks Kurumi is calling them useless. Rentaro steps in to calm things down and hopes Kurumi will work with the team. He decides to take things slow and suggests they all play together. The round starts, and Rentaro and Kurumi begin eating rice. Rentaro notices that Kurumi hasn't taken a bite yet. He starts panicking and sees her staring at a side dish. He gets an idea and brings it to her, suggesting she try both the rice and the side dish. Kurumi speeds up and starts eating faster. Soon, everyone is shocked by their speed and mistakenly thinks Kurumi has already finished the side dish. Everyone laughs at what they think is a mistake. This annoys Rentaro, and he demands to know who said that. Hyakkano tries to calm him down while having fun, and Karani steps in to separate them. Karani asks Rentaro about his plan. Rentaro asks everyone to watch Kurumi eat. When they do, they realize she has a special way of making the food look so delicious. Watching Kurumi, the others rush to get side dishes too. Karani soon figures out that it was part of Rentaro's plan all along. As the rounds continue, Rentaro and Kurumi keep eating lots of rice. Bowl after bowl is brought to them, and they keep going. Karani is amazed by Rentaro's appetite and wonders how he can eat so much. Nano comments that he should be getting sick of it. Hyakkano tells him not to overdo it. Rentaro explains that the girls take turns serving him rice, and even though the bowls look the same, each one tastes different to him. Once again, the girls are touched by Rentaro's words. Rentaro and Kurumi start eating even faster, and the others watch in surprise and wonder if these two are truly monsters. Finally, the first round ends and the results are announced. Rentaro's team comes in third place, meaning they qualify for the next round. Rentaro is upset, wondering how they ended up in third. However, the others praise Kurumi for her great performance, saying she ate in a unique way. The Gorilla Syndicate claims second place, which you might remember from Season 1. The team in first place is Hyakkano Shiki, who is competing alone. Everyone is surprised to know that this person is playing solo, while everyone else is in teams. Hyakkano looks and sounds like a robot, and the character animation has been slightly changed compared to the manga. Afterward, the commentator announces the next major round of the food festival, which is a classic eating contest. This time, the food is bubble tea. Rentaro wonders when bubble tea became the classic choice. He asks his team who will enter the first round. Hyakkano praises Rentaro for his performance and suggests he take a rest. However, Kurumi declares that she will join every round. Rentaro advises her to let others participate as she can't handle every round. Kurumi ignores Rentaro's advice. Eventually, Shizuka decided to join Kurumi in the first round. The first round begins, and the participants start drinking the bubble tea. At first, they enjoy it, but after 10 minutes, it becomes clear that this contest isn't about appetite, it's a jaw endurance challenge. The tea is so chewy that they're exhausting their jaws trying to keep chewing. Kurumi struggles and realizes it's getting harder to keep going. She looks over at Shizuka, who is drinking smoothly. Karani wonders how Shizuka is drinking the tea so well. Rentaro explains that Shizuka has the tiniest mouth. The other girls notice Shizuka is drinking the tea perfectly. He is taking tiny sips by cutting the tea into smaller pieces. Karani remembers how Shizuka always eats this way and realizes it's the perfect method for this challenge. They conclude that Shizuka is well trained for this kind of contest. In the first round, Rentaro's team holds second place. The second round starts, and the challenge is to eat 10 pieces of sushi. This time, Nano joins Kurumi to help her. They begin eating. Kurumi finds the sushi delicious, but Rentaro reminds her there's no time to enjoy it. She struggles to eat quickly without savoring the taste. Kurumi watches Nano eating the sushi at an incredible speed. Karani notices that Nano isn't chewing the sushi, she's just swallowing it whole. While the Gorilla Syndicate and Kurumi slow down, Nano and Hyakkano Solo are nearly finished with their 10th piece. Both reach for their last piece, but Hyakkano finishes first. Karani wonders why Nano isn't done and learns that she's eaten so much that she feels like she's about to vomit. Meanwhile, the Gorilla Syndicate team is catching up. Nano realizes she has no choice but to keep going. She starts running away from the table with sushi in hand. Rentaro asks where she's going. Nano climbs some stairs and stands on stage, leaving everyone curious about her move. Rentaro reveals that Nano is afraid of heights. Nano, terrified, stands at the top but knows she must finish the challenge. She decides to eat the sushi in her hand, and the crowd cheers, calling her Rapunzel in the tower. Nano finally eats the sushi, but now she's scared and doesn't know how to get down. Rentaro rushes to her, helping her down safely. In the end, Rentaro's team secures second place in the second round. In the third round, the challenge is to eat spicy mapo tofu. Karani, proud of her spice tolerance, decides to help along with Kusuri. Everyone dives in without hesitation, but Karani aggressively eats her spicy mapo tofu. Eventually, Rentaro's team becomes the first to win this round. The fourth round begins a cake-eating contest. This time, Hikari and Hahari join Kurume to assist her. At first, everyone enjoys the cake, but Hikari quickly realizes there's too much sugar and warns about the risk of obesity from overconsumption. This scares the Gorilla Syndicate, and soon everyone stops eating except Kurumi and Chenko Solo. Karani becomes annoyed and points out that excessive sugar can even cause weight gain in specific areas like the chest. Hearing this, Hikari and Hahari resume eating, thinking that gaining weight might make them more attractive to Rentaro. In the fourth round, Rentaro's team holds second place. Rentaro praises his team, saying he has such talented girlfriends. The Gorilla Syndicate is shocked by how they keep eating. Rentaro explains that they couldn't have done it alone. It was all thanks to teamwork and love. Everyone agrees, but Kurumi, confused, wonders what he means. As the final round starts, Kurumi watches Rentaro press everyone's stomachs to help them digest since they're all in bad condition. She becomes irritated and tells Rentaro that he will feel the same way. He reassures her, saying that once everyone's condition improves, his will too. Kurumi, curious, asks how that works. Rentaro explains that it's the power of love. The commentator announces the final round, a ramen eating challenge. Bowls of ramen are served. Chenko Solo leads, but with double points in the final round, it's still anyone's game. For this round, Kurumi is the only player for her team since the others are in bad condition to continue. Rentaro apologizes for not being able to help, but Kurumi brushes it off, saying she never expected their help. A ramen lover, Kurumi starts strong and enjoys her meal. Meanwhile, the Gorilla Syndicate struggles with worsening conditions. The Gorilla Syndicate leader refuses to give up. She declares that she'll prove what the Gorilla Syndicate is truly made of. Her determination inspires her teammates who cheer her on from the sidelines. Fueled by the Gorilla Syndicate leader's words, the team gathers strength and re-enters the competition mid-game with the commentator's approval. As everyone continues eating, an ambulance arrives, marking the end of the Gorilla Syndicate's participation. They thank everyone for the experience before leaving the competition. Now only 2 participants remain, Solochenko and the Rentaro family. Both are at their 10th bowl and the competition intensifies. A shocking secret about Solochenko is that the large competitor isn't human but a robot controlled by a person inside. The human isn't actually eating but storing the food in a hidden section, essentially cheating. The solo competitor declares he will win no matter what. Kurumi and Solochenko continue eating, both managing to consume 25 bowls of ramen each. However, Kurumi starts to feel her condition worsen. Solochenko taunts her, mocking her for participating in every round and overeating. This approach leaves her no room for the final challenge. Kurumi feels defeated, admitting to herself that she already knew this. She regrets not trusting her teammates who ate more than she expected and feels like she's failed Rentaro. She feels demotivated and starts to cry. Just then, Rentaro and the other girls rise and join Kurumi at the table. Kurumi is surprised and asks why they're helping her. Rentaro explains that the rules allow it and reassures her to leave the rest of them. Kurumi becomes emotional and apologizes for the rude things she said earlier, but the others brush it off, saying it doesn't matter now. They're friends and they'll always support her. Rentaro emphasizes that it's the power of love. Encouraged by their words, Kurumi realizes her mistake and decides to keep fighting alongside them. The Chenko Solo, seeing the challenge intensifying, grows anxious. Desperate to win, the person inside the robot decides to stop cheating and begins eating ramen directly. The competition reaches its peak as everyone eats at a rapid speed, but one by one, they fall unconscious from the overwhelming amount of ramen. With only 5 seconds left, Kurumi pushes herself, determined to secure victory. Rentaro whispers something in her ear. First, Kurumi becomes scared, but then gathers her courage. She feeds the ramen to Rentaro, who swallows it quickly. The Chenko Solo, unable to keep up, spits out its ramen, securing the Rentaro family's victory. The Rentaro's team celebrates their win, receiving a trophy and ice cream as a prize. Kurumi, still feeling regretful, apologizes to everyone for her earlier behavior and asks for forgiveness. The others cheerfully feed her ice cream, solidifying their bond as teammates and friends. Later that evening, Rentaro meets Kurumi in the park. Kurumi thanks Rentaro for inviting her to the competition and helping her build a connection with everyone. She remembers Rentaro's promise to let her taste her favorite treat if they won. Then she kisses him and teasingly says that's how Rentaro tastes. Hikari has always seen her mother, Hahari, as the epitome of grace and elegance, a woman she's admired since childhood. However, today, her picture-perfect image is shattered as Hahari turns her attention to Hikari's school friends, enthusiastically offering them adorable baby clothes to try on. Hikari finds herself cringing in embarrassment at her mother. Eager to keep Hahari happy, Rentaro decides to play along, attempting to try on the baby clothes himself. But his efforts prove futile, as he is too big. Seeing this, Hahari enthusiastically suggests they try the baby clothes after taking a special babification medicine. To reassure everyone, Kuzuri casually mentions that she has also created a reversal medicine. The girls remain hesitant, refusing to risk their well-being for Hahari's whims. Frustrated by their reluctance, Hahari begins to whine and roll on the ground. Hyakkano, fed up with her mother's behavior, finally snaps. She scolds Hahari for being inconsiderate, pointing out that her antics are embarrassing her as a daughter. Hahari, trying to console her daughter, reassures her that Hyakkano is her most treasured person. She explains that while she plays a motherly role to everyone in their group, Hyakkano will always come first. Unfortunately, Hahari misses the point of Hyakkano's frustration entirely. Sensing the tension in the air, Kusuri decides to intervene and lighten the mood. She notices a cat nearby and, in an effort to grab everyone's attention, begins playing fetch with it. However, instead of using a stick, Kusuri tosses a vial of the babification medicine. The cat runs off and the vial shatters on the ground. To everyone's horror, the shattered vial begins to glow ominously. Rentaro quickly moves to shield Hyakkano, as the medicine releases a mysterious smoke. As the haze clears, Rentaro and Hyakkano are stunned to find that everyone else on the rooftop has been turned into babies. Panicking, Rentaro covers his eyes, declaring that seeing all his girlfriends unclothed even as babies would be improper. He and Hyakkano spring into action, hurriedly dressing the now-infant girls in baby clothes. As they care for the babies, Hyakkano's thoughts begin to wander. She grows flustered as she imagines married life with Rentaro and the possibility of having several children with him. Rentaro, oblivious to her fantasies, is entirely focused on doting over his girlfriends turned babies. Remembering Kusuri's earlier instructions, Rentaro notes that they need to wait an hour before administering the reversal medicine. Attempting to pick up baby Shizuka to play with her, Rentaro is startled when she crawls away, seemingly scared of him. After finally catching her, he gently rocks her and promises not to eat her. Meanwhile, baby Kuruma, hungry and curious, crawls over to Hyakkano. Her eyes fixate on Hyakkano's chest, and without warning, she latches onto Hyakkano. Flustered and alarmed, Hyakkano tries to pry Kurumi away while scolding her for her actions. However, the overwhelming sensation leaves Hyakkano unable to do much more than gasp in mild pain. Though Rentaro wants to help Hyakkano with the chaos unfolding, he notices baby Nano crawling toward the door. Alarmed, he rushes after her to stop her. However, Nano doesn't take kindly to being intercepted. Displeased, she retaliates by poking Rentaro in the eye. Rentaro yelps in pain and clutches his face. Meanwhile, Kusuri attempts to drink the reversal medicine prematurely despite her earlier warnings about the risks of taking it too soon. Rentaro, despite his stinging eye, scoots up Kusuri before she can down the vial, dragging her and Nano back to safety. But just as he manages that, Rentaro notices baby Shizuka crawling toward the door. Rentaro races after Shizuka. Hyakkano faces her own ordeal as baby Karani suddenly begins trying to draw milk from her chest as well. Noticing this, baby Kurumi, who doesn't want to share Hyakkano's attention, starts pushing Karani away. Karani, equally possessive, shoves Kurumi right back, and before long, the two babies are trying to hit each other, leaving Hyakkano stunned at their sudden aggression. Hyakkano attempts to intervene, raising her voice to demand that they stop. Though her stern tone does halt the fight, it causes both babies to burst into tears. Desperate to console them, Hyakkano bounces them gently in her arms, even trying to offer her chest again as a peace offering, but neither baby is calmed. As Hyakkano struggles, Hara climbs onto Hyakkano's back and grabs a fistful of her hair. Hyakkano winces in pain, overwhelmed by having to care for multiple babies at once. She silently prays for this ordeal to end soon. To her surprise, baby Hyakkano momentarily pats Hyakkano's head, offering an oddly tender moment amidst the chaos. However, Kurumi and Karani start thrashing wildly in Hyakkano's arms, forcing her to let them go. Before they can hit the concrete ground, Rentaro dives in, catching both babies just in time. Kurumi and Karani start laughing uncontrollably at their brief fall. Seeing the baby's laughter, Hyakkano breathes a sigh of relief. Rentaro, noticing that his dramatic save amused the babies, comes up with an idea to keep them entertained. He begins repeatedly diving to the ground, face first, exaggerating his movements to elicit more laughter from the babies. Eventually, after laughing themselves out, all the babies fall asleep, leaving the rooftop finally peaceful. While Rentaro feels relief that the chaos has subsided, his face has suffered significant damage from his self-inflicted dives. Hyakkano quickly patches up Rentaro's battered face from his earlier antics. Though his face is bruised, Rentaro busies himself by doting on the babies. While holding her now sleeping mother close, she begins to wonder if Hyakkano had a difficult time raising her as a baby. Hearing her musings, Rentaro reassures her, sharing that he has spoken to Hahari about this before. Despite the challenges she faced, Hyakkano always considered Hyakkano her ray of hope. Because of this, she endured every hardship, determined to give her daughter the best life possible. Hyakkano is touched by this revelation, and a distant memory flashes in her mind. She recalls how, as a child, she constantly craved her mother's attention, longing to be close to her. This nostalgic moment deepens her appreciation for Haru's love and sacrifices. The babies eventually return to their original selves. Haru, however, falls into despair, lamenting that she missed the chance to see everyone else as babies since she had also been turned into one. Some of the girls jokingly remark that Haru's mental age didn't seem to change much, while others admit that Haru has always been a bit of a whiner. Meanwhile, Kurumi and Karani find themselves unable to resist staring at Hikaru's chest. Hikaru takes this moment to apologize to her mother for her earlier harsh words, acknowledging that she had been too critical. In turn, Haru also apologizes, admitting that she should have been more considerate of Hikaru's feelings. Hikaru reassures her mother, expressing her love and respect for her. Shika notes how much brighter and freer her mother seems since meeting Rentaro. Hikaru encourages Haru to continue being her true self, especially within their group, where they all provide a safe and supportive space for one another. Haru's eyes fill with tears, overwhelmed by her daughter's understanding. Their heartfelt moment is interrupted, however, when Kusuri announces she still has one vial of the babification formula left. Haru's mood instantly shifts to excitement as she declares her intent to use the last dose on everyone so she can take care of them all as babies. Hikaru groans, immediately regretting her earlier words of encouragement, but Haru cheerfully dismisses her, prioritizing her dream of seeing everyone as babies once more. One afternoon, the group gathers to share cookies together. Rentaro enjoys the peaceful moment with his girlfriends, while Kurumi, in particular, beams with happiness at receiving the sweet treat. Hikaru teases her, commenting on how Kurumi's eyes sparkle with delight with each bite of her cookie. Embarrassed, Kurumi insists that Nano and Shizuka have prettier eyes than hers. This sparks a wave of compliments among the girls as they begin praising each other's eyes, likening them to gemstones and admiring the unique effects they give off. Rentaro enthusiastically agrees with each comment from the background, proclaiming his love for all their eyes. When Haru chimes in to compliment Mei's eyes, the mood shifts. The group suddenly realizes that none of them have ever actually seen Mei's eyes open. Mei, with her serene smile and perpetually closed eyes, has kept this detail a mystery. Shizuka asks what color Mei's eyes are, and Haru remarks that they are rainbow-colored. Kusuri, unable to resist, asks Mei if she can stop smiling and open her eyes so everyone can finally see them. Mei, however, politely refuses, stating that as a maid, she must always appear cheerful to serve her mistress. Haru gives Mei permission to open her eyes, mentioning that even she hasn't seen them in a long time. But when Mei tries, she finds her muscles unresponsive. Her face is stuck in a smile. Determined, she attempts to force her eyes open using her fingers, but her efforts prove futile. With no other option, Mei excuses herself and announces she will find a scalpel, intending to cut her eyes open. Alarmed, Rentaro and Haru immediately intervene, begging her to stop. The group begins to wonder how Mei manages to navigate daily life with her eyes always shut. Mei calmly explains that she is, in fact, blind and relies on her other senses to perform her duties. A flower pot suddenly falls from above, and Mei is the first to sense it, catching it just before it hits Rentaro. Rentaro expresses his gratitude and admiration, calling Mei incredible for her sharp awareness. Shizuka, inspired, attempts to scare Mei by raising her arms and shouting, "Boo!" Unfortunately, no one reacts, leaving Shizuka red-faced with embarrassment. Rentaro notices her intent and pretends to be frightened, prompting the others to realize Shizuka's plan to startle Mei into opening her eyes. Kusuri, still curious, pulls out a test tube of melting face medicine. Mei offers to spray it on herself if it would please Haru, but Haru quickly declines, not wanting Mei to harm herself. Next, Nano steps forward with a cutter and reveals its blade, making everyone nervous. Standing beside Mei, she pretends to stab her, eliciting a bow of gratitude from Mei to Haru. The group is momentarily horrified, but Nano reveals the blade was retracted all along. While everyone else breathes a sigh of relief, Shizuka begins to cry, believing Mei is genuinely hurt. Rentaro hugs Shizuka and Nano to console them. Kurumi then offered Mei a sweet bun, hoping that the delight of eating something so delicious would make her eyes snap open. Mei eats the bun after receiving Haru's permission and comments on how delightful it is. Kurumi, disappointed her plan didn't work, laments that she assumed happiness could physically open someone's eyes. Karani points out that such a reaction isn't normal. Rentaro and Hikaru consider happiness as a potential trigger and ask Mei what makes her happy. Mei replies that her happiness stems from seeing Haru happy. Haru adds that her own happiness comes from being surrounded by the family they built together. Hikaru gets an idea and suggests Karani cozy up to Haru, joking that she can't do it herself because of their blood relation. Though hesitant at first, Karani notices Haru has the same warm, inviting scent as Hikaru. Just as the two are about to share a kiss, Hikaru slaps Karani away, much to Haru's dismay. Kyuzuri and Shizuka hug Hahari to comfort her, making her so happy that Mei sheds a tear of joy for her mistress. Finally, Rentaro decides to try humor, hoping laughter will open Mei's eyes. He tells a silly brain teaser but admits that he stumbled over the words in the story, making Mei laugh. However, her eyes remain shut. He continues the story, revealing that the one who actually messed up the brain teaser was Hahari, causing Mei to immediately stop smiling and open her eyes, revealing they are rainbow-colored. Realizing her smile is gone, Mei quickly shuts her eyes again. The group marvels at how Rentaro managed it. He explains that Mei's loyalty to Hahari is so strong that she cannot bring herself to laugh at her mistress. Noticing Mei's blush, Hahari teases that Mei might have fallen in love with Rentaro. The other girls agree that Rentaro is charming and encourages Mei to join their family. Though hesitant at first, Mei finally confesses her feelings to Rentaro, hoping he will accept her into the family. After her heartfelt confession to Rentaro, Mei arrives at his place bright and early the next day to fulfill a new role, his personal maid for the day. The idea was Hahari's meant to give Mei and Rentaro more time together. Rentaro, while nervous, sees this as a golden opportunity to understand his new girlfriend better. Wanting to make the most of their time, Rentaro asks Mei what she'd like to do. However, as a devoted maid, Mei instinctively turns the car around, heading straight for Hahari, eager to serve her mistress. Rentaro quickly stops her, reminding her that today is about doing something other than serving Hahari. Mei considers this, but then decides to serve Rentaro instead, turning the car around again to head back to his house. Rentaro realizes that Mei truly doesn't know how to prioritize herself. After much coaxing, they are finally driving away from their respective homes, trying to come up with something Mei genuinely enjoys. Since Mei struggles to decide, Rentaro surprises her by taking her to a cherry blossom park. He guides her through a lively food stall area, hoping the atmosphere will help her relax. To make her focus on the moment instead of serving him, he makes an impossible request, a home-cooked meal prepared within 1 minute, assuming she'll give up and enjoy the stalls with him. To his shock, Mei promptly vanishes and returns exactly 1 minute later, presenting him with a lavish bento filled with homemade dishes. Rentaro is astonished and asks how she managed to make it so quickly. Mei, slightly embarrassed, confesses that she had prepared it early in the morning, secretly hoping for a chance to give it to him. Though she intended to let him eat whatever he pleased, she couldn't ignore the opportunity to serve him. Deeply touched, Rentaro eagerly takes a bite of an egg roll and finds it delicious. He noticed the bento is filled with egg-based dishes, his favorite food. Mei admits she had asked Harry about his preferences before they even left, making him feel even more special. However, Mei keeps fidgeting beside Rentaro, unable to relax. Concerned, Rentaro asks what's wrong. She shyly admits that she becomes restless when she isn't given orders. Looking flustered, she even hints that he could command her to do anything, even something that involves physical touches. Completely missing the hint, Rentaro panics, not wanting to give her an unreasonable order. Thinking quickly, he spots a cherry blossom branch nearby and asks Mei to fetch it for him, hoping to hold the delicate flowers. Without hesitation, Mei retrieves the branch and returns, asking which one she should fetch next. A realization strikes Rentaro. He had just treated her like a dog. Guilt washes over him as he berates himself internally, feeling like the worst person alive for giving her such a meaningless command. Trying to correct his mistake, Rentaro quickly changes his approach. Instead of treating Mei like a servant, he instructs her to throw the branch as far as she can. Once she does, he retrieves it himself and hands it back to her, believing this action balances the dynamic between them. However, Mei's usual unwavering smile falters slightly. Having Rentaro fetch something instead of her feels unnatural. She remains puzzled, struggling to comprehend why she isn't allowed to serve him properly. Determined to receive a genuine command, Mei continues to seek guidance. Rentaro, however, refuses to give in. He insists that she should prioritize herself rather than dedicating her entire existence to servitude. Mei, unable to accept this idea, firmly believes that without serving someone, she has no purpose. Seeing her unwavering devotion, Rentaro realizes she will not back down. He relents and agrees to give her an order. Mei's expression immediately brightens. One can easily imagine her having a tail wagging in anticipation. However, Rentaro surprises her with a command that confuses her since he wishes that she not be of any use to him. Her once lively demeanor shifts into one of deep uncertainty, as if the very foundation of her existence has been shaken. She follows his order with silent obedience, sitting before him without movement, unsure of how to proceed. As time passes, Rentaro tells her that having her close to him makes him feel at ease, which in turn contradicts the command. Determined to fulfill the request, she stands up and starts moving farther away. Step by step, she distances herself until she ultimately returns to Hahari's estate, convinced she has finally succeeded. Hahari is caught off guard by Mei's sudden arrival. However, just as Mei begins to relax, she is handed a phone with Rentaro on the other end. The moment she hears his voice, her relief shatters. Rentaro confesses that her absence only makes him think about her more, proving once again that she has still been of use to him. The realization sends Mei into despair. No matter what she does, she cannot escape her usefulness to him. Hahari, confused but concerned, instructs Mei to return to Rentaro. Standing once again in the cherry blossom field, Mei solemnly admits her struggles. She believes there is only one true way to fulfill his order, to end her own life. A long silence follows before Rentaro responds with a surprising revelation. He agrees that if she were to disappear, she would no longer be of use to him. But he refuses to accept such an outcome. He tells her that her existence alone brings joy to those around her. A long-buried memory surfaces in Mei's mind. She recalls the moment Hahari found her broken and on the verge of death. Hahari hugged her tight, offering warmth and reassurance that she was not worthless. Now, with Rentaro standing before her, that warmth returns as he confesses that he loves her and believes that her presence alone is a blessing in his life. Overjoyed by Rentaro's confession, Mei practically radiates happiness, her excitement resembling that of a golden retriever eager to serve, while Rentaro tries to explain that their relationship should be one of mutual love and respect. The next day at school, Rentaro officially reintroduces Mei as his newest girlfriend to the rest of his ever-growing family. The other girls are far from surprised, having expected Mei to join them eventually. Hahari, ecstatic over Mei's official inclusion, takes the opportunity to hand out maid costumes to everyone. Karine initially refused to participate. However, the moment Rentaro expresses his desire to see them in the outfits, she immediately changes her mind and wears the outfit. The group emerges in full maid attire, much to Rentaro's delight. Hyakkano, Kuzuri, and Shizuka even go the extra mile by giving him an enthusiastic maid cafe-style welcome. The girls, amused by their own costumes, curiously examine the thigh-length skirts, wondering how real maids manage to keep them spotless while working. Seizing the moment, Hahari suggests a water gun battle, secretly hoping to see everyone drenched in their maid outfits. The rules are simple. The last person to remain dry wins a kiss from Rentaro. The mention of the prize immediately ignites a competitive spirit among the girls, with each of them eager to claim victory. Rentaro, however, protests the idea of only kissing one person, much preferring to kiss everyone regardless of the outcome. His plea is ultimately ignored as excitement for the game takes over. Rentaro dons a butler outfit, much to the delight of his girlfriends. Some of them, mesmerized by his appearance, become even more motivated to win. With a sharp blow of the whistle, the game begins. Karine makes the first move, instantly setting her sights on Mei, whom she perceives as the biggest threat. She fires relentlessly, but Mei effortlessly dodges every shot, retaliating with two of her own. Karine finds herself in a precarious position, unable to move freely without exposing herself further. Kuzuri seizes the opportunity and fires at Karine, effectively eliminating her from the game. As Kuzuri celebrates taking out an opponent, she fails to notice Nano lining up a shot. A moment later, Kuzuri is drenched, much to Hahari's glee at the sight of two soaked girls in maid outfits. Hahari snaps pictures of them, eager to make them her new screensavers. As she does, Kurumi takes aim at her, determined to end her reign of terror. However, Hahari, always one step ahead, tosses a red bean-filled bun toward Kurumi. True to her gluttonous nature, Kurumi abandons her water gun mid-battle. A jet of water hits her squarely, so she ends up drenched on the ground and eliminated. With Kurumi out of the game, Nano sees an opportunity to strike and charges toward Hahari. However, Mei intercepts her with a well-placed shot, forcing a confrontation between them. The two engage in an intense duel. Their reflexes hone as if they had spent years training for this exact moment. Realizing that her chances against Mei are slim, Nano shifts tactics and goes after Shizuka instead. Spotting Nano's advance, Shizuka panics and fires wildly, hoping at least one of her erratic shots will hit the target. As Nano prepares to finish Shizuka off at point-blank range, an unexpected splash of water lands directly on her. The onlookers are left stunned against all odds. One of Shizuka's stray shots had miraculously found its mark. Kurumi approaches Shizuka to congratulate her on her impressive luck, but upon closer inspection, she realizes that Shizuka herself is also dripping wet. Apparently, one of her own shots had somehow landed back at her. Accepting their fate, the two decide to pose for a commemorative photo. With only 3 competitors remaining, Mei quickly assesses the situation. Besides herself, the only ones left standing are Hahari and Hikari. However, Hikari has already maneuvered herself into an advantageous position, behind her mother, water gun ready to fire. Hikari, having cleverly played the waiting game, reveals that she had been lying low the entire match, conserving her energy while letting the others eliminate each other. With her mother as a hostage, she issues an ultimatum. Mei must eliminate herself if she wishes to spare Hahari. Prepared to follow the command, May raises her own water gun to shoot herself, but just as she's about to pull the trigger, Hikari shocks them both by suddenly shooting herself. By eliminating herself, she grants May the opening to finish off Hikari. Hikari, now drenched, pushes her chest forward in an exaggerated pose, relishing the way the water clings to her. Karane immediately calls her out, accusing her of enjoying the wet look a little too much. Hikari feigns innocence but then teases Karane, pointing out that she had struck a rather suggestive pose herself when she was hit earlier. As the two bicker, May kneels beside Hikari. Hikari orders May to claim her well-earned prize, a kiss from Rentaro. However, upon closer inspection, Rentaro and the girls realize that May has also been disqualified. While embracing Hikari, she had unknowingly absorbed the water from Hikari's soaked clothes, rendering her just as drenched. Not wanting to disappoint any of his girlfriends, Rentaro makes a bold proclamation that everyone is declared a winner. Each of them eagerly lines up to receive their reward, thrilled at the chance to share a kiss with him. May, having received her first kiss from Rentaro, is especially overjoyed. As Rentaro finishes kissing all of them, he too ends up completely soaked from holding them close, much to the satisfaction of both Hikari and Hikari. Later that afternoon, May shares the deeply emotional story of how she first became Hikari's maid with the rest of Rentaro's family. Rentaro listens intently, moved to tears by the story he is hearing for the first time. Hikari explains that when she first found May, she had offered to adopt her as her own child. However, May had refused, insisting that she wished to serve Hikari instead. Suddenly remembering her first love, Hikari admits that she takes great pride in having saved May's life. However, in her usual playful manner, she adds that her real motivation at the time was that she thought May was simply too adorable to let go. Karane groans in frustration, wishing that Hikari had kept that part to herself, but May appears completely delighted to receive such a compliment. Hikari pats Karane on the shoulder, advising her not to waste her energy trying to understand their mother's eccentric ways. As the day winds down, Hikari pulls May into a warm embrace, pressing their chests together in a way that leaves May flustered and red-faced. A great tragedy strikes Rentaro's family. After indulging during a food fight at a festival, most of his girlfriends are horrified to find they have gained a few extra pounds. Kirumi may remain unaffected, but the rest, consumed by panic, immediately dedicate their afternoons to intense girlfriend training in hopes of regaining their ideal figures. With his schedule unexpectedly cleared, Rentaro decides to head home. On his way, he notices a lone girl from the school's girls' baseball team energetically swinging a bat while announcing that her club needs to recruit new members. As he watches, their eyes meet and an inexplicable feeling grips them both. The girl quickly regains composure and hastily invites him to join the team, but Rentaro awkwardly corrects her, stating that he is male. The girl introduces herself as Iku. When asked about the state of her team, Iku admits that she is the only remaining member. Just a month ago, they had a full roster, and they were all eager to make it to the Nationals. Their ambition caused the other members to transfer to America, leaving her behind. Determined to keep the club up and running, she has resorted to showcasing baseball's coolness by swinging her bat tirelessly in hopes of attracting new players. Each motion is practiced, powerful, and rhythmic, yet Rentaro notices a peculiar detail. Her body trembles slightly with every swing. Despite this, her expression remains euphoric, as if the strain and pain fuel her resolve rather than hinder it. Eventually, the pain gets to her. Her legs buckle, and she drops to her knees, breathless but oddly satisfied. Concerned, Rentaro approaches, but her dazed smile unsettles him. The exhaustion should be overwhelming, yet she appears almost thrilled by it. A creeping realization that she may be a masochist settles in. Feeling the sudden urge to make sure she is alright, Rentaro offers his aid so she won't push herself, but he gets shocked when Iku requests that he pummels her in the stomach while she swings. They decide to do something less intense by playing baseball instead. With each ball he hits, she throws herself into catching it, curling her body across the field with reckless abandon. Dirt stains her uniform due to her dives, but she looks as if she is enjoying herself. As the sun begins to set, Rentaro and Iku decide to call it a day. She surprises him by giving him a massage. The day had been both fun and productive for her, reigniting her love for the sport as she finally had someone to share it with again. Grateful for his help, she thanks him with an earnest expression. Seeing her passion and determination, Rentaro vows to return to help her recruit members. The following morning, Iku recalls her time with Rentaro, her heart fluttering as she anticipates another afternoon of baseball. Somewhere along the way, she realizes she has developed a crush on him. Excited by the thought of spending more time together, she smiles, hoping classes will finish soon, only to freeze in her tracks at the sight of Rentaro walking down the hall, hand in hand with Nano. A pang of something unfamiliar rushes through her, and for the first time in her life, she feels her heart break. When the time comes, she meets Rentaro the field as planned, but rather than practicing, she steals herself and confesses her feelings, asking if they can start dating. Rentaro hesitates before bowing deeply, apologizing as he explains that he already has 8 girlfriends. He worries about balancing their happiness, making it difficult to add anyone new. At first, Iku looks as if she's about to break down. However, rather than sorrow, an unfamiliar ecstasy washes over her. The overwhelming despair of rejection twists into something deeply satisfying. Just as she begins to indulge in the sensation, she notices Rentaro vomiting an alarming amount of blood in front of her. Once he recovers, he explains that he had suspected her masochistic tendencies ever since yesterday. He had caught her watching him and Nano, expecting sadness or jealousy, yet all he saw was a look of pure joy. When Nano leaned in to check his temperature, Iku's excitement only grew. This confirmed his suspicions. She had wanted to experience the pain of rejection. Embarrassed that her secret had been uncovered so easily, Rentaro admits that his rejection was a lie and he truly wants to date her. He finds her determination inspiring and he wants to support her happiness no matter the hardship. The realization makes Iku's heart race. Had she just found someone as masochistic as her? With a grin, she eagerly agrees to become his 9th girlfriend, excited to experience the chaotic love shared within his unusual relationship. The next day, Rentaro introduces Iku to the rest of his girlfriends who groan at the news, still adjusting to Mei's recent addition. Iku bows, introducing herself with the formality of a club member, then stuns them all by requesting each of them to slap her in the butt with a baseball bat. However, their reactions are mixed, not really wanting to harm the new girl. She faces them again and admits her insecurities, confessing that she feels inferior compared to them. To her, all of Rentaro's girlfriends are cute and beautiful, while she is tomboyish and may not fit in. Rentaro reassures her that her tomboyish charm is something to be proud of. Each of his girlfriends is unique, and that's what makes them special. Encouraged by his words, the girls finally accept her as part of the family. Kuzuri offers to slap her butt so Iku can be satisfied. Watching the exchange, Nano sighs, realizing another eccentric personality like Hari has joined their ever-growing family. Rentaro, seeing that everyone is getting along, takes the opportunity to bring up the baseball club's dire situation, asking if they would be willing to join the team. The girls hesitate, wondering if Hari can simply pull some strings to prevent the club from disbanding without them having to participate. However, Hari insists that it would be unfair to the other clubs as many struggle with the same problem every year. If she were to intervene due to personal reasons, it might set a precedent that could negatively affect graduates' resumes and the school's reputation. Kuzuri and Shizuka are unexpectedly moved by Hari's sense of responsibility. Rentaro once again asks his girlfriends if they would like to join, making it clear that they are free to decline if they are not interested. Hyakkano has a sudden realization. She asks if Rentaro will be present during practice. When he confirms, all of the girls immediately decide that this is the perfect opportunity to both lose weight and spend more time with their beloved boyfriend. With unanimous enthusiasm, they agree to join the team. However, Mei, Kurumi, and Hari are unable to join the team since they are not high school students. Unwilling to be left out, they insist on attending practice and joining the workouts, reasoning that food tastes better after a good exercise. Iku is ecstatic. With Rentaro's girlfriends making up the majority, they now have 6 members in the club, leaving only 3 more to recruit. Karane, however, remains skeptical, reminding Rentaro that for the club to survive, they actually need to win a game, and none of them, apart from Iku, have any experience in sports. Rentaro reassures them with his unwavering confidence, declaring that as long as they have love and teamwork, they will be unstoppable. Motivated by his words, the girls eagerly set off for practice. Since they have no experience with the game, Rentaro suggests they begin with simple catch drills. He pairs them up and playfully calls out Kuzuri for having an excessive number of gloves. Karane partners with Hari as they pass the ball back and forth. Karane can't help but notice Hari's exaggerated movements. A surge of frustration washes over Karane, making her self-conscious about her own lack of curves. To vent her irritation, she throws the ball at Hari with unnecessary force. Meanwhile, Kuzuri and Nano casually toss the ball back and forth, not really putting effort or thought into their throws. Things aren't going too well with Hyakkano and Kurumi either. Hyakkano, struggling to catch the ball properly, keeps blocking it with her chest. Meanwhile, Kurumi gets distracted since the baseball reminds her of the chocolate soccer balls she used to eat as a kid, and before she realizes it, she catches the ball with her mouth instead of her glove. On another part of the field, Mei pairs up with Shizuka. Not wanting to hurt the frail girl, Mei gently rolls the ball toward her instead. With catching turning into a disaster, Rentaro decides to switch things up and move on to swinging practice. Kuzuri, however, is once again prepared with an excessive number of bats, claiming that wielding more than one makes her look cooler. Karane treating hers like a weapon. Kurumi, still stuck in her food fantasies, looks at her bat like it's an oversized snack. Shizuka, on the other hand, spins in place when she swings, twirling without stopping. The sight of Shizuka twirling is too much for Harry, who immediately grabs Hyakkano and spins her around in excitement. After much effort, Rentaro and Iku finally manage to guide the girls into proper form, and by nightfall, they're all sweaty, grimy, and exhausted from training. Ready to head home and relax, they notice Iku still swinging her bat. Rentaro offers to stay behind with her, but she insists that he take the others home instead. The next morning, as Rentaro and his girlfriends walk to school, most of them grumble about sore muscles, already dreading today's practice. However, as they pass the field, they freeze. Iku is already there, eyes glazed over as if in bliss, relentlessly swinging her bat. It's as if she never left. Realizing what's happened, they rush over to confirm their suspicion. It turns out that Iku had never left to rest and had been swinging throughout the night. Finally, feeling the weight of exhaustion, her body sways unsteadily before collapsing. Rentaro dives forward, catching her just before she hits the ground. They bring her to the infirmary, horrified that she's pushed herself to the point of exhaustion. While her masochistic tendencies are already a known fact, this feels more destructive. Rentaro senses that something deeper is driving her, but he can't quite put his finger on what. As the school bell rings, Hari takes charge, telling everyone to return to class since Iku is safe for now. Later in the afternoon, Iku wakes up, immediately trying to leave the infirmary, completely unaware that Hari is hiding under the bed. At the same time, Rentaro walks in, equally surprised to find Iku already up. He tries to convince her to rest, but Iku refuses, insisting that she needs to practice if they have any chance of winning. As Rentaro listens, he suddenly realizes the real issue. Iku never intended for her teammates to contribute. She has been planning to carry the entire match by herself, only needing others to fill the roster. When she tries to insist on practicing, Rentaro reminds her that class is still in session, meaning she isn't even allowed to practice yet. He then admits that he has been sneaking out every 5 minutes under the excuse of bathroom breaks just to check on her. To make his excuse believable, he drinks a liter of water every time, ensuring his bladder backs up his claim. Still, he knows that later in the evening, Iku will insist on staying behind again. Determined to stop her from overworking herself, he comes up with a ridiculous plan: to drench himself in ice-cold weather and pass out from the cold, forcing Iku to stop and take care of him instead. As predicted, by the end of practice, Iku once again refuses to leave. Just as Rentaro begins removing his layers to start his plan, the other girls approach Iku, telling her they will stay and continue practicing alongside her. Hari confesses to spying on her earlier and reveals that everyone feels guilty for letting Iku shoulder the burden alone. They promise to train seriously and improve rather than relying on her to win the game single-handedly. Rentaro is deeply moved by their unity, but before he can say anything, the girls finally notice that he is half undressed. When questioned, he tells them to ignore it. Instead, he suggests they all do a group cheer to boost their spirits and reaffirm their commitment to improving together. After 2 weeks of intense training, Rentaro and his girlfriends are pumped up for the baseball match. They've worked hard, and while not all of them are at Iku's level, they are ready to give it their all. Rentaro had even managed to enlist the help of the KK sisters from school to complete their lineup. However, just as the game is about to begin, Rentaro receives a message. All 3 of the KK sisters have fallen sick and won't be able to make it. Meanwhile, the opposing team, Jurassic University, gathers for a pre-match pep talk from their coach. She reminds them to take the match seriously, even though it's technically just a practice game. To further motivate them, she promises a barbecue feast if they win. The mere mention of food ignites a fire in the Jurassic team, and they march onto the field with renewed energy. With his team now short on players, Rentaro nervously approaches the Jurassic team's coach, requesting permission to allow Hari, Kurumi, and Mei to fill in for the missing players. After some consideration, the coach agrees, much to the relief of Rentaro and his team. As the match begins, Jurassic University starts on offense while Rentaro's team plays defense. Iku takes her position as the pitcher and with sharp throws, strikes out the first batter. The Jurassic team immediately grows uneasy. After all, their precious barbecue is at stake. However, as they prepare their next batter, some of the Jurassic players begin to recognize Iku. They remember her from middle school. More importantly, they remember an incident, one that might just be their key to securing victory. Their confidence surges as they focus on the game once more. After 3 outs, it's finally Rentaro's team's turn to play offense. Karane steps up to bat first, brimming with confidence. She swings at the first pitch and makes contact, but the sheer force of the throw destroys her bat upon impact, and the ball lands straight into the umpire's waiting glove. Karane stares at her hands in disbelief. The power behind that pitch is unreal. The umpire named Rappo grins and boasts about their team's ace pitcher, Sorko, Together, they call themselves the Double Dynam Destiny Duo, a name that irritates Karane to no end. Unfortunately, Karane is unable to score, leaving Iku as the next batter. To Rentaro and his team's surprise, Iku is unable to score, not even attempting to swing her bat. The usual determination in her eyes is missing. Meanwhile, Rapko watches with amusement. She knows exactly why Iku is hesitating. However, a sudden flicker of determination ignites in Iku's eyes and she positions herself to swing the upcoming pitch. Sensing an opportunity, Rappo signals to Sorko, silently instructing her to give this next pitch her full strength. The ball comes flying toward Iku at an incredible speed. At the last second, she forces herself to swing, but the impact is brutal. Her wrist twists painfully as the bat makes contact, causing her to drop it with a wince. A satisfied smirk spreads across Rappo's face. Rentaro immediately rushes to Iku's side. After a quick assessment, the team decides that she has to switch positions. With Iku unable to pitch, Nano steps up to take her place. Iku is now on the right field, while Shizuka has been moved to defend second base. The change in formation allows Jurassic University to dominate the field, with their offense overwhelming Rentaro's team. Even when Rentaro's team gets a turn to bat, they fail to score against Sorko's devastating Tyranno Cannon pitch. The growing gap on the scoreboard weighs heavily on them, frustration settling in as they struggle to keep up. Iku blames herself for getting injured, convinced that her condition is the reason for their setbacks. However, Rentaro remains determined, reminding the team that the game isn't over. Instead of focusing on scoring, he urges them to strengthen their defense and prevent the opposing team from gaining more points. Meanwhile, Jurassic University, already confident in their victory, is caught up in the excitement of their soon-to-be barbecue celebration. However, Rappo remains focused, her attention shifting towards Shizuka. Recognizing her as the weakest link, she devises a plan to exploit her self-doubt. As the next round begins, Rappo positions herself near Shizuka and takes the opportunity to undermine her confidence. She plants the idea that Shizuka is responsible for her team's struggles, preying on her insecurities. The weight of those words settles deep, and Shizuka's mind spirals into doubt. Caught in her own thoughts, Shizuka fails to react in time when her team sends the ball her way. Her teammates scramble to recover, but when she finally gets hold of the ball, her hesitation results in a misplaced throw in the wrong direction. The moment the mistake is made, a sinking realization washes over her. Her errors are costing the team the game. Despite her moment of paralysis, Rentaro's team regains control just in time to secure 3 outs, forcing Jurassic University into a defensive position. As they gather, concern for Shizuka becomes the team's priority. She apologizes repeatedly, burdened by the belief that she is dragging everyone down. Kusuri recalls noticing Rappo's attempt to rattle Shizuka earlier and informs the team. The revelation fuels their determination, igniting a collective sense of protectiveness toward their teammate. Fueled by anger, they step onto the field with renewed resolve. Karane is first up to bat, gripping her bat with newfound intensity as Rappo continues to insult Shizuka. Channeling her frustration, she braces herself against Sorko's powerful pitch. The moment the ball connects with her bat, she sends it soaring beyond the field, securing a home run and stunning Jurassic University. One by one, the rest of the team follows suit. Hyakkano bunts the ball, catching Jurassic's defense off guard and making it safely onto the field. The momentum continues as the girls successfully reach the bases, fueled by Rentaro's unorthodox yet strangely effective strategies from the sidelines. As the game intensifies, Rentaro's team decides to switch pitchers, replacing Iku with Mei when it's their turn to play defense. Mei's unpredictable pitching, which zigzags unpredictably through the air, completely throws off Jurassic University's batters. Meanwhile, Iku submerges her injured hand in ice water, determined to heal faster and rejoin the battle. Rappo watches in disbelief as Rentaro's team refuses to back down. She struggles to understand where they are drawing their strength from. Rentaro, sensing the moment, steps forward with an aura so intense it resembles that of a certain golden-haired warrior from a well-known Japanese manga and anime. He boldly declares that their power stems from their unwavering love for each other, dubbing them Super GF Saiyans. With momentum on their side, the team inches closer to victory. Kusuri, now in her properly aged-up form, steps up to bat while the rest of the team cheers her on. As instructed, she bunts the Tyranno Cannon pitch, skillfully making her way to first base. Just as the fielder moves in to tag her, Kusuri transforms into her chibi form, effortlessly slipping onto the base untouched. Ahari follows next, executing a well-timed bunt after Hyakkano promises that Karane will reward her with a kiss if she succeeds. However, in her excitement, she trips on her way to first base. Fortunately, as she falls, her ample chest lands squarely on the base's padding, securing her safety. As the game nears its climax, Shizuka steps up to bat. Rappo watches with a smug smile, confident that Shizuka, the team's weakest link, will fail without any interference. The The weight of her previous mistakes still lingers in Shizuka's mind, but she closes her eyes and takes a deep breath, remembering Rentero's encouraging words. When Sorko's pitch flies toward her, Shizuka tightly hugs her bat, steadying it. Knowing that Sorko's throws always aim for the center, she positions herself accordingly. Staying in her position, she manages to make contact, sending the ball flying. Without hesitation, she dashes toward first base. Rappo quickly throws the ball to her teammate, expecting an easy out. However, the first baseman is momentarily stunned as she watches Shizuka run. Something about her tearful determination reminds the fielder of her beloved pet puppy that passed away the year before. Overcome with emotion, her vision blurs and she fails to catch the ball. This unexpected slip-up allows Shizuka to safely reach first base. The fielder, still teary-eyed, instinctively gathers Shizuka into her arms, congratulating her for making it. Rappo quickly shakes off the sentimental distraction, realizing that Rentero's team is now only a home run away from winning. However, since Iku is next to bat, she feels a sense of relief. On Rentero's side, the team erupts with excitement, rallying behind Iku and hyping her up for the final play. Fueled by their support, Iku confidently promises to finish the game once and for all. However, as she strides toward the batter's box, Rentero stops her in her tracks. Something about the way she's been acting whenever she steps up to bat has been off. Her usual confidence wavers, her body language tense. Rentero narrows his eyes, questioning if she is truly okay. Iku looks away from Rentero, acknowledging that he has seen right through her. She admits that she has been afraid of batting ever since an incident where she once hit a home run only for the ball to strike a girl in the stands, injuring her. That memory haunts her every time she steps up to bat. Despite her lingering fear, she promises to hit the ball this time, no matter what. She owes it to her teammates for standing by her and giving her the strength to continue playing. Seeing her determination, the girls erupt in cheers, ready to support her until the end. As Iku steps into position, Rappo remains smug, convinced that she will freeze up and fail to swing. The first pitch comes, and just as Iku moves, a vision of that fateful day flashes in her mind, throwing her off. The result is a foul ball. The second pitch follows, and though she swings with more confidence, it still veers off as another foul. Determined not to let fear control her, Iku steadies her grip and focuses on the next throw. Seeing this, Rappo decides to end the game once and for all, signaling Sorko to use every ounce of strength in her next pitch. She's willing to risk both her and her teammates' arms if it means securing victory in their much-anticipated barbecue. Sorko throws with everything she has, the Tyranno cannon screaming through the air. Iku beats the ball, but the sheer impact nearly sends her backward. The force of the connection is so immense that it tears through her uniform, leaving her in nothing but her underwear. The shock momentarily shakes her confidence, making her hesitate as doubt creeps in once more. Just as fear threatens to consume her, she hears Rentero's voice cutting through the noise, promising to catch the ball no matter what. His unwavering support gives her the push she needs. Choosing to believe in him, Iku swings with all her strength, sending the ball flying high into the sky. It soars past the outfield, clearing the fence, an undeniable home run. Rentero, standing at the edge of the field, braces himself and catches the ball at full force. The impact tears through his clothing as well, leaving him in just his undergarments. Their team has won. The girls for Iku's team erupt into cheers, happy to have won. Iku sprints toward Rentaro, who desperately tries to avert his eyes from her lack of clothing. Unfazed, she boldly kisses him, openly declaring her love in front of everyone. Later, they gather at a Hyakkano restaurant to celebrate their hard-earned victory. Kurumi is especially excited, finally indulging in a well-deserved feast after an exhausting game, and the girls from Jurassic High since their coach is treating them. Meanwhile, the Jurassic player who had called Shizuka Chi-chan earlier is quick to dote on her. Rappo, feeling oddly sentimental, does the same. With a rare day off from school, Rentaro and his many girlfriends decide to spend the day together, enjoying a much-needed break. Unbeknownst to them, a strikingly beautiful blonde girl who effortlessly turns heads as she walks through town casually passes by them. However, their attention is solely on each other and their plans for the day. They stop at a karaoke bar where they eagerly book a private room to sing their hearts out. The moment the music starts, Karane wastes no time in grabbing the mic. Her powerful voice resonates through the room, her song choice emphasizing her fiery personality. Hikari follows with a much softer and more romantic song, her gentle voice drawing admiration from the others. As the singing continues, Iku surprises everyone with her incredible vocal ability, proving that her talent isn't limited to baseball. Not to be outdone, Haharu decides to turn up the heat with a sultry and mature song, proving that an adult's charm is something that the younger girls can't easily match. Kurumi, not wanting to miss out, sings an energetic song that sounds suspiciously like an anime opening, her enthusiasm contagious. Kuzuri, always playful, chooses an admirable tune that sounds like it belongs in a commercial or another anime. her voice full of cuteness. Nano takes the stage next, but her performance is less of a song and more of a recitation. Mei, on the other hand, seals the spotlight by performing a cute outfit, her idol-like charm making the performance feel like a professional concert. Despite the lively atmosphere, one person hesitates, Shizuka. While the others eagerly take their turns, she holds back, unsure of what to sing. Eventually, she excuses herself to refill her drink, quietly singing to herself. Rentaro, who happens to be nearby, overhears her soft singing and reacts enthusiastically. Caught off guard, Shizuka admits that she actually enjoys singing but has never done so in front of others, fearing that something bad might happen if she does. Seeing the genuine worry in her body language, Rentaro reassures her that she doesn't have to force herself, but if she ever decides to sing, everyone would be thrilled to hear her. Shizuka feels a tug at her heart. She realizes she's never truly considered if she wanted to sing, only focusing on the fear of performing. But looking around at her family, she wonders if, just this once, she can push her fears aside and sing for them. Unbeknownst to the others, Kujiri had secretly planted an experimental cuteness-boosting medicine that has been slowly evaporating in the air. She hopes to enhance everyone's perception of cuteness just before her turn, ensuring she receives endless praise. However, to her utter shock, Shizuka is the one who steps forward. The room falls silent in anticipation. Hearing Shizuka's real voice is a rare event. The soft melody begins to play, and Shizuka shyly opens her mouth, her delicate voice blending beautifully with the music. At that exact moment, Kujiri's medicine takes full effect. Everyone is instantly overwhelmed by just how impossibly cute Shizuka's singing is. The sheer level of adorableness sends shockwaves through the room, leaving the group in utter awe and making most of them crash into the wall, effectively knocking them out. Kurumi, unable to resist any longer, blurts out that she has been wanting to pet Shizuka for the longest time despite Shizuka being older than her. But just as she's about to reach her, an unknown force suddenly sends Kurumi flying across the room, crashing into the back wall. Kujiri suggests using an ear-disintegrating drug to block out Shizuka's singing and break free from the cuteness overload. Hyakkano immediately refuses, unwilling to let her ears melt, and insists on finding a reversible drug instead. At the mention of a cure, Kujiri suddenly remembers that their current state is due to the cuteness-enhancing drug she released into the air. She quickly pulls out the antidote, but the overwhelming energy radiating from Shizuka causes it to slip from her hands, shattering near Kurumi. Hyakkano laments that she and Karane are the only ones still standing against Shizuka's overwhelming adorableness. Desperate, she uses Karane as a shield and somehow gets her to admit she wants Rentaro's babies. Seizing the opportunity, Hyakkano tries to announce it to everyone, causing Karane to panic. Embarrassed and flustered, Karane loses focus and is immediately blasted across the room, crashing into the wall. Now the only one left, Hyakkano pushes forward, determined to pry the microphone from Shizuka's hands. However, as the song repeats another chorus, the sheer force of its cuteness proves too much. The wave of energy sends her flying into the pile of unconscious girls. Struggling to climb out from under the weight of his girlfriends, he realizes that if Shizuka turns around and sees them all knocked out, her worst fear will come true. His mind races as he searches for a way to reduce the cuteness exposure and continue listening to her song. A brilliant idea strikes him. He decides to sing along with her, focusing on his own voice to counter the effect. Hearing Rentaro's voice next to hers, Shizuka is caught off guard but feels a warm thrill at the thought of sharing her first karaoke experience with him. She takes his offer hand and together, they sing in unison, completely unaware of their surroundings. The other girls, now conscious again, watch in awe, mesmerized by the moment, and their collective emotions cause a massive hole to form in the wall. The girls begin falling through the hole. A nearby bystander excitedly reaches out, hoping to catch them, but before he can, Rentaro launches forward at incredible speed, skillfully landing on a nearby rooftop. On another day off, Rentaro visits a shopping mall and deems it a perfect date spot for his girlfriends. As he scrolls through the group chat to make plans, a stunning blonde girl catches his attention. She grumbles about how she is far more beautiful than the mall's centerpiece, unaware that Rentaro is standing next to her. Their eyes suddenly meet and an unexplainable feeling wells up inside them as if they've just encountered their soulmate. Recovering first, the blonde girl confidently grabs Rentaro's hand, declaring that she will grant him the privilege of becoming her lover. Rentaro recoils in embarrassment, trying to explain that he already has girlfriends, but the blonde girl doesn't give him a moment to respond. She confidently introduces herself as Mimimi, a second-year student at his school. Ignoring his flustered reaction, she declares that it's unfortunate she can't date someone as beautiful as herself, but since Rentaro has potential, she will take it upon herself to refine his appearance. Without waiting for his input, she drags him into a high-end boutique, determined to make him match her level of beauty. Rentaro finds himself transformed, dressed in an all-white suit with a platinum blonde wig and striking red contact lenses to complete the look. As he stares at his reflection, he can't help but think of Nano, who sports similar hair and eyes. The cost of the entire transformation is staggering, but Rentaro insists on paying, thinking his girlfriends might enjoy seeing him in a different style. Afterward, they stop for bubble tea. Mimimi claims that chewing tapioca pearls enhances one's beauty, though she refuses to try Rentaro's chocolate-based drink for fear of staining her pristine outfit. Rentaro notices the attention they are getting from other patrons and expresses concern, but Mimimi brushes it off, stating that it's only natural for commoners to be drawn to exceptional beauty. However, she admits that there was once someone even more beautiful than her. For a brief moment, an image of Nano flashes through Rentaro's mind, but he dismisses the thought. Nearby, a couple glares at them from across the cafe. The girlfriend seethes with jealousy over the attention Mimimi is receiving, while her boyfriend attempts to console her, insisting that Mimimi's beauty is superficial, merely a result of expensive clothing and makeup. Rentaro overhears them and instinctively stands up to defend Mimimi, but she stops him with a dismissive wave. She explains that envy is common among those who measure themselves by appearance, but true beauty is more than just expensive clothes. She proudly states that she earns her own money, maintains a rigorous skincare routine, exercises daily, and perfects her speech and mannerisms, all to ensure she remains the pinnacle of elegance. Her unshakable confidence only fuels the couple's frustration. The boyfriend, unable to counter her logic, resorts to petty revenge, attempting to spill his drink on her to ruin her flawless outfit. However, Rentaro reacts in an instant, shielding Mimimi with his jacket just before the liquid can reach her. A commotion breaks out, drawing the attention of the cafe's security guard. Seeing that he's been caught, the boyfriend panics and bolts, with the guard immediately chasing after him. Meanwhile, Mimimi is left in awe at Rentaro's selflessness. As fate would have it, the guy who had caused trouble earlier circles back, still fleeing from the guard. In a moment of poetic justice, he slips on his own spilled drink and nearly crashes to the ground. Before he can hit the floor, Rentaro swiftly catches him by the jacket, steadying him. Rather than scolding him, Rentaro assures him that he understands the instinct to protect one's pride, especially when it comes to a loved one. His words strike a chord with the young man, who, now humbled, sincerely apologizes. In an effort to make amends, they offer to cover the cost of Rentaro's ruined clothes. As Rentaro watches them leave, Mimimi suddenly reaches over and pulls off his wig. She gazes at him thoughtfully before declaring that he doesn't need to change a thing. His heart is already beautiful. She apologizes for trying to mold him into her ideal, admitting that she was acting out of fear. Summoning her courage, she finally confesses that she has fallen in love with him. She asks if he would be willing to date her properly, wanting to be by his side for real. Rentaro, though touched, nervously admits that he already has 9 girlfriends. If she truly wants to be with him, she would be the 10th. Rather than being upset, Mimimi finds the idea of being a round number oddly amusing, so she accepts the position without complaint. Just then, a familiar voice calls out to Rentaro. He turns to see Nano and Shizuka walking toward them. He greets them enthusiastically, eager to introduce Mimimi to his girlfriends. However, before he can even get a word out, Mimimi's expression twists into fury. Mimimi seethes with frustration, recalling that Nano was the very girl who had once overshadowed her in beauty and humiliated her in the past. Rentaro, stunned, realizes that his hunch had been right all along. Mimimi, unwilling to accept being part of any group that includes Nano, refuses to back down. However, she also refuses to leave Rentaro's side. Determined to prove herself, she boldly declares that she will fight for Nano's spot in the family. If she wins, Nano will have to leave. To settle things, she proposes a beauty search competition. Rentaro is utterly baffled by the challenge. He expects Nano to brush it off, believing she is far too mature for such a trivial contest. To his shock, Nano accepts the challenge without hesitation. Shizuka, standing beside them, is completely lost as she watches the situation escalate before her eyes. Back in middle school, when Miri Middle School hosted a beauty pageant, Mimimi was certain she would win. To her utter shock and disappointment, however, the title was awarded to Nano, the girl who had entered the competition by accident. Though the unexpected outcome stunned, Mimimi chose to accept it, believing that true beauty speaks for itself. Rather than holding resentment, she offers Nano her hand, hoping to befriend her and become comrades in the pursuit of beauty. However, to her dismay, Nano refused the offer without hesitation. Without another word, she turned and walked off the stage, leaving Mimimi standing confused and lost. Mimimi challenges Nano in a beauty search contest to determine who stays in the Rentaro family. The rules are simple. They take turns identifying beautiful qualities in each of Rentaro's girlfriends. If Rentaro deems the quality truly beautiful, they earn a point. The one with the most points wins. Karane struggles to understand the point of the game and protests that it's a ridiculous way to determine who gets to stay. Mimimi reassures her that it's an honorable sport recognized by the beauty church, then immediately starts the game before Karane can object further. The first subject is Karine. Both Nano and Mimimi list admirable and striking qualities about her, making Karine flustered from all the compliments. The game moves on to Hari, Kurumi, Mei, Kusuri, Iku, and Hakari, each receiving their fair share of praise. By the end of Hakari's turn, Nano takes the lead and Hakari realizes Nano is likely to win the next round. The next subject is Shizuka, and since Nano is closest to her, it seems like an easy victory. As soon as Shizuka becomes the subject, Nano confidently goes first, calling her shy and quiet nature irresistibly cute. However, Rentaro refuses to give her a point, explaining that those are traits that fall under cute rather than beautiful. Mimimi immediately takes advantage of the situation and points out that Shizuka's long skirt is both elegant and respectful of school regulations, making it a beautiful trait. Nano quickly tries to recover but accidentally lists another cute quality. She drops to her knees, realizing she is too used to seeing Shizuka as adorable to recognize her beauty. Her misstep costs her the round and the score evens out, setting up the final decisive battle. Rentaro watches the scoreboard anxiously, hoping for an outcome where both girls remain in his family. The next subject is himself, and Mei takes on the role of referee since Rentaro cannot judge his own beauty. As soon as the round begins, Mimimi quickly points out his thick, well-groomed eyebrows as a beautiful trait. Mei considers it and ultimately decides to award a point, but to everyone's horror, Rentaro has already shaved his eyebrows off, invalidating the compliment. Nano then attempts to score a point by praising how well-kept and pristine his uniform is. However, the moment she says it, Rentaro dramatically tears his uniform apart, making her point completely useless. Both girls are confused by his strange actions, but they refuse to back down and continue listing traits they find beautiful about him. Yet each time they mention something, Rentaro immediately changes it, ensuring that neither of them can score a point. By the end of the round, the scoreboard remains unchanged and Rentaro is nearly unrecognizable after altering so many of his features. He declares the beauty search over, revealing that both girls have the same score. Since it's a tie, neither of them has to leave the family. Hakari, watching from the sidelines, realizes that Rentaro had orchestrated the entire situation to ensure a draw. He had been willing to sacrifice his own appearance just to make sure neither Mimimi nor Nano would be forced to leave. While most of the group is relieved, Mimimi is furious. To her, a draw feels like a loss. Frustrated, she turns to leave, unwilling to accept this outcome. Before she can take another step, Nano steps forward and apologizes for her actions back in middle school. Mimimi, however, is unwilling to accept her words, still believing that Nano is the same cold-hearted girl who rejected her in the past. But Nano insists that she has changed since joining Rentaro's family. She explains that because of Rentaro and the friendship she has built, she has come to understand emotions like love, joy, and companionship, things she once dismissed as meaningless. She also admits that she now recognizes the harm her past actions may have caused and genuinely regrets them. Nano reaches out and firmly takes Mimimi's hand, asking if they could be friends. At that moment, Mimimi recalls the painful memory of the beauty pageant, reliving the moment Nano had turned away from her. However, this time she envisions a different ending, one where Nano turns back and smiles, accepting her friendship. As she snaps back to reality, she looks at Nano's sincere expression and remembers the real reason she had entered Nano into the contest back then. She had admired Nano from afar and hoped the competition would make Nano notice her, giving her a chance to befriend her. Realizing that she no longer has to cling to the past, Mimimi accepts Nano's offer of friendship. The other girls watch with smiles on their faces as the tension finally fades and everyone is relieved that their family remains whole. The following day, Rentaro gathers his girlfriends and formally asks for their permission to welcome Mimimi as the newest member of their family. The girls are thrilled, having already developed a fondness for Mimimi after all the wonderful compliments she gave them during the beauty search contest. Without hesitation, they all approve, happy to have her join their growing relationship. Mimimi, brimming with excitement, declares that she will take it upon herself to transform everyone into the most beautiful versions of themselves. She insists that they must become the most stunning family ever. Without waiting for approval, she unpacks a full makeup kit and immediately gets to work on Kusuri, applying various beauty techniques. The results leave everyone astonished as Kusuri admires her face in the mirror. To complete the look, Mimimi instructs Kusuri to try staring longingly into the distance. Kusuri attempts to follow but struggles to maintain the expression, contorting her face into something more comical than elegant. While observing the scene, Mimimi takes a moment to study Rentaro's girlfriends. She quickly realizes that they are all already at an unnaturally high level of beauty. Just then, Rentaro enters the room, greeting everyone warmly. Kusuri immediately leaps up to hug him, beaming after he compliments her new look, even kissing him full on the lips. Mimimi is in awe when she learns that the girls freely shower Rentaro with affection, openly expressing their love without hesitation. Suddenly, she recalls hearing a rumor that kissing one's lover releases beauty hormones, enhancing one's natural charm. A realization dawns on her. Perhaps this is the secret to their beauty, constant affection. Without hesitation, Mimimi confidently declares that from now on, everyone must kiss Rentaro frequently in order to maintain their peak beauty. Rentaro is taken aback by the sudden declaration, unsure of how to respond. However, his girlfriends react with overwhelming excitement, thrilled at the prospect of kissing him more while simultaneously enhancing their beauty. To convince him further, Hahari and Hikari put on dramatic, tearful expressions, claiming they don't want to burden him with such a request, but would be heartbroken if he refused. Their act works flawlessly. Rentaro, unable to resist their emotional plea, reluctantly agrees to the plan. Kusuri, seizing the opportunity, eagerly announces that she has developed a new lip balm infused with a special drug that will accelerate the production of beauty hormones. Without hesitation, Nano takes the lip balm, applies it to her lips, and leans in for a kiss with Rentaro. The moment their lips meet, an intense warmth spreads through Nano's entire body. The sensation is overwhelming, more powerful than anything she's ever felt before. Unable to handle the rush of pleasure, she suddenly breaks the kiss, her knees buckling beneath her. Shizuka is shocked. Seeing the normally composed Nano completely undone by a single kiss is unprecedented. The effect isn't one-sided. Rentaro himself struggles to steady his breathing, completely overwhelmed by the breathtaking kiss. Seeing how effective her drug is, Kusuri excitedly leaps in for a kiss, already having applied the lip balm. However, as soon as her lips meet Rentaro's, the overwhelming pleasure sends shockwaves through her body, making her feel like she's about to pee herself. Completely intoxicated by the sensation, she loses control, and to everyone's horror, she actually does wet herself. Kusuri, now fully aware of what just happened, freezes in place, apologizing to the anime's audience for having to relieve herself. Kurumi quickly shifts focus, helping Mei apply the lip balm so she can have her turn. As soon as Mei kisses Rentaro, a powerful jolt of pleasure surges through her body, causing her to instinctively sit in obedience. Wanting to get in on the fun, Hahari eagerly gives Rentaro a quick kiss. However, the moment the drug takes effect, an excited shiver runs through her body. Unable to contain herself, she suddenly strips down to nothing but her black lace underwear. Hikari and Karane, already anticipating this reaction, immediately tackle her, yanking her pants back up and dragging her away from Rentaro. Meanwhile, Iku shyly steps forward and requests a kiss. As soon as their lips touch, the rush of pleasure overwhelms her senses. But unlike the other girls who buckle their knees, Iku struggles to remain standing. Her legs tremble uncontrollably, to the point where Mei has to intervene so she won't injure herself. Karane, ever the tsundere, loudly insists she has no interest in participating. However, Rentaro and the girls quickly notice that she has already applied the lip balm, clearly preparing for her turn. Without hesitation, Rentaro swoops in for a kiss. The moment their lips meet, Karane is overcome with emotion. She instinctively hugs him tighter, so tight that a loud crack can be heard, signaling that Rentaro's spine has been damaged. He collapses to the ground the moment Karane lets go, horrified that she might have seriously injured him. As he stares out dazed due to his back and the drug, Kurumi steps forward to take her turn. She eagerly presses her lips to Rentaro's, passionately kissing him despite being the youngest. However, they pull away once they notice Shizuka witnessing their intense kiss. Determined to keep things fair, Rentaro turns to Shizuka and gently kisses her. The lip balm's effect kicks in instantly. Shizuka, who is normally reserved, suddenly feels so lightheaded that her entire body begins floating off the ground. The girls watch in shock as she drifts upward like a balloon. Luckily, Nano, having already recovered from her own kiss, quickly catches her before she can ascend into an unknown location. Hikari is next, and she throws herself into the kiss with everything she has. However, the intensity is too much for her heart to handle. Her mind goes into overdrive, and in a dramatic burst, she gets a rocket-powered nosebleed that launches her a short distance away. Dazed, she barely registers Karane checking on her, mistaking her for Rentaro instead. Without thinking, she lifts her head and goes in for another kiss. Hahari shrieks in delight and begins snapping photos at lightning speed. Finally, it's Mimimi's turn. Without hesitation, she steps forward and confidently presses her lips against Rentaro's. For her, this is a monumental moment. It's her first kiss. The sensation washes over her, and she can physically feel herself becoming more beautiful, as if her body is actively responding to the release of beauty hormones. Confident that this is the trick to unlimited beauty, she instructs the girls to kiss Rentaro even more. By the end of the kissing session, the girls look like they come from a different anime, and Rentaro is even an artistic statue. In a remote laboratory hidden deep within the Arctic tundra, a team of scientists gathers around a series of monitors, their faces filled with growing concern. The data displayed before them reveals an alarming trend. Solar activity is plummeting at an unprecedented rate. One scientist references a peculiar anomaly in this anime, pointing out how cherry blossoms bloom far later in the year than usual, If this decline continues, Earth could soon find itself plunging into another ice age. Meanwhile, Rentaro reads the ominous headlines about the scientists' discoveries and starts to worry about the future. Later that day, during their usual gathering on the school rooftop, Rentaro's girlfriends immediately pick up on his distress. Kusuri jumps to conclusions, assuming his unease stems from the drastic decision he made during the beauty search contest, shaving his head and eyebrows. Seizing the opportunity, Kusuri offers to fix his predicament with a hair-regrowing drug she recently developed. Harry suggests that everyone join in an experiment with new hairstyles, given that Kusuri can easily make a drug for their hair to grow back. May, eager to put her maid training to use, volunteers as the designated hairstylist. She starts with Mimimi, who watches nervously as May works with her eyes completely shut. One by one, the girls receive their transformations, their appearances refreshed and stunning. Rentaro can't help but marvel at how breathtaking each of them looks. Hahari, though satisfied with her new look, becomes curious about how she appears with longer hair. Impulsively, she grabs the test tube containing Kusuri's hair growth formula and gulps down the entire contents in one go. Kusuri's eyes widen in horror, realizing too late that not only did Hahari consume far too much, but she also drank an experimental batch that hadn't been properly tested. The effects are immediate. Within moments, the long strands take on a life of their own, forming a massive cocoon around her. Meg rushes forward to free Hari, only for the hair to retaliate, lashing out with whip-like tendrils. Rentaro, acting on instinct, grabs May and pulls her away just in time. However, in his haste, he missteps and twists his ankle, grimacing in pain. The sentient hair launches another attack, forcing the entire group to retreat inside the school building. Kusuri quickly explains that the hair-enhancing formula Harry had taken had not only amplified Harry's hair growth, but had also overridden her cognitive functions. With no logical thoughts to guide it, the hair had instead begun responding to Hahari's deepest, most primal urges. Hyakkano, familiar with her mother's interests, immediately deduces the horrifying truth. If Hahari's subconscious desires were fueling the hair's actions, then the hair would probably want to do tentacle porn with them. But as they frantically debate their next course of action, disaster strikes. Kurumi, with her sharp instincts, is the first to react, alerting the others before leaping into action. However, she is ultimately caught. At first, the hair's grip seems almost gentle, caressing her as though it were merely petting her in an innocent display of affection. The innocence is short-lived. The tendrils grow bolder, their touches becoming far too suggestive. The other girls and Rentaro don't hesitate to run away, not wanting the same fate. Their reckless running attracts the attention of the school's principal, who storms toward them with an enraged expression, ready to reprimand them for their behavior. Before she can reach them, a monstrous tangle of hair bursts through a nearby classroom door. Kusuri, feeling responsible for this catastrophe, makes a split-second decision. Deliberately allowing herself to be caught, she hopes to buy the others some time to flee. The tentacles waste no time wrapping around her, squeezing and caressing her body. Though trapped, Kusuri manages to shout at the others to run. As they turn to flee, more tentacles lash out from another direction, ensnaring Hyakkano. Karane immediately grabs hold of her, trying to pull her free, but Hyakkano cries out in pain, begging Karane to let go before she dislocates her arm. Karane is forced to release her grip, and the tentacles waste no time plunging into Hyakkano, exploring her body as she struggles. Rentaro and the rest of the group push forward, unwilling to share the same fate. Upon reaching the school yard, they are met with a horrifying sight. Harry's hair has spread far beyond the school, trapping students left and right. Rentaro and the girls sprint toward Harry's car, hoping to escape before they, too, are ensnared. However, the car refuses to move. The car's rear wheels are completely entangled in Harry's hair. Acting fast, Iku and Karane leap out and push against the car, trying to break it free. With great effort, they finally manage to loosen the grip of the tentacles, allowing the vehicle to rush forward. However, Karane refuses to let Iku fall with her. She asks Iku to lend her bat and prepare her butt. Before Iku can question her, Karane strikes Iku's butt with enough force to send her flying through the air, landing her safely on the car's roof. Unfortunately, Karane herself is immediately seized by the tentacles and yanked away before she can escape. May slams on the gas, but as they speed toward the school gates, more tentacles appear, slithering rapidly to block their path. Realizing they won't make it through in time, Iku makes the ultimate sacrifice by using all her strength to hold back the advancing hair. The tentacles overwhelm her, lifting her into the air and spreading her limbs wide as the group makes their escape. Harry's hair is spread into the town, capturing unsuspecting women at every turn. The streets are in complete disarray as people scramble to avoid the expanding mass of animated strands. May grips the steering wheel tightly, desperately navigating through the city. With few options left, the group spots a towering building in the distance. It's their best bet for shelter. Arriving at the building, Mei and Shizuka quickly devise a plan and wish the others luck before Shizuka gulps down the drug Kusuri had handed her earlier, and within moments, a pair of bunny ears sprout from her head, making her appear even cuter. The unexpected transformation immediately draws the attention of Harry's hair. With the distraction in place, Nano, Rentaro, and Mimimi seize the opportunity to make their way to the rooftop. Upon entering the building, they quickly realize that taking the elevator is no longer an option, leaving the stairs as their only way to the roof. Since Rentaro is still injured, Nano and Mimimi support him on either side, refusing to abandon him in his weakened state. Reaching the rooftop, Rentaro is the first to take in the devastation below. As far as the eye can see, Harry's hair sprawls across the entire town, extending beyond its borders and seemingly engulfing the world. A news reporter stationed on another rooftop attempts to document the catastrophe, but mid-broadcast, she is suddenly ensnared by the writhing tendrils. Her cameraman hesitates, unsure whether to intervene or continue filming the arousing scene unfolding before him. Noticing the hair beginning to slither up the rooftop, Nano readies her cutter while Mimimi grips her brush tightly, both prepared to defend Rentaro with everything they have. As the hair lashes out, the two girls swiftly retaliate, slicing and brushing away the invasive strands with expert precision. Rentaro watches helplessly, frustration mounting as he realizes he is unable to contribute to the fight. Before he can dwell on his uselessness, the tentacle-like hairs suddenly shift their focus to him. Nano and Mimimi immediately rush to his side, but they are quickly caught in the hair's relentless grasp. Suspended in the air, their limbs bound tightly, they struggle against their restraints as Rentaro looks on in horror, unable to do anything. Just when it seems all hope is lost, a helicopter appears above them. Mei and Shizuka, having successfully acquired the aircraft from Harry's home, drop a rope ladder for Rentaro to grab onto. Shizuka's enhanced hearing, courtesy of her bunny ears, had helped Mei navigate the treacherous landscape safely, leading them to this crucial moment. Rentaro reaches out for Nano and Mimimi, but they refuse to be saved, insisting he must save himself. Only he has the power to stop Harry's rampaging hair and rescue everyone. The tendrils tighten their grip, fully entangling the two girls, allowing Rentaro, Mei, and Shizuka to make their escape. During the chopper ride, Rentaro makes a request. He wants to be taken back to the school, right where Harry is. His mind is set on putting an end to this chaos. Meanwhile, Harry remains trapped within her own hair, her body immobilized. As the helicopter hovers over the epicenter of the calamity, Rentaro reassures Mei and Shizuka that he will be fine. He is certain that Harry's subconscious would never allow him to come to harm. With unwavering determination, he leaps into the swirling mass of hair, convinced that if he can reach her, he can bring her back. The moment he descends, several thick strands lash out, wrapping around him midair and dragging him into the suffocating abyss. Within the shadows, a figure emerges, Harry's former lover. The presence lingers, observing him with a mixture of amusement and approval. It acknowledges how far he has come, its sheer determination setting him apart. With a final silent gesture of trust, the spirit gently nudges him forward, relinquishing any lingering ties and allowing Rentaro to take his place by Harry's side. Rentaro rises back to consciousness. Before him, Harry is motionless, still tightly entangled in the monstrous mass of her own hair. He rushes to her side, shaking her gently, but she remains unresponsive, her mind still trapped within the chaos. Determined to free her, Rentaro presses his lips to hers, hoping a kiss will wake her mind. Slowly, the entrapment around her loosens, and for the first time, her eyes flutter open. Tears, well as awareness, return, the weight of everything that has transpired crashing down on her. As she allows herself to be overwhelmed with guilt, Rentaro reassures her that the drug she took actually has two effects and she can fix the world. Back outside, Iku and Hikari have oddly found enjoyment in being bound by the hair and remain wrapped up. The other girls try to point out they can break free since the hair has already lost its tight grip. Suddenly, the strands of Harry's hair surge upward, stretching beyond the clouds and into the sun. The tendrils burn away completely, their energy fueling the solar flames, reigniting the dying activity of the sun, putting an end to the crisis. With careful precision, Rentaro severs the strands beyond Harry's usual hair length, fully freeing Harry from the monstrous creation that spiraled beyond her control. Her body weakens, knees buckling from exhaustion and guilt. Rentaro holds her close, steadying her as the weight of the moment settles. Back in the Hanazono household, an air of lingering unease remains. Mei and Hikari attempt to lift Harry's spirits, offering food, but she stays withdrawn and cooped up in her room. The weight of what has transpired lingers heavily on her, guilt keeping her distant from the warmth of her family. Understanding the depth of her emotions, Rentaro comes in for a surprise visit. He plays a news report detailing the aftermath of the incident. Despite the destruction, the world has witnessed no casualties. Reports surface of countless lives saved in unexpected ways as the hair has prevented several fatal accidents. Most notably, the unexpected consequence of the hair feeding into the sun, has ultimately saved the planet from its impending catastrophe. Rentaro is beyond grateful for Harry. He had been wrecking his mind over thinking of how to save the world for his girlfriends when he first heard about solar inactivity, but Harry had saved the world without knowing it. Staring at Rentaro, Harry realizes that the Amazing One is Rentaro. It had been his idea to burn her hair by sending it to the sun, and right now he is saving her from her overwhelming guilt. Before she can dwell further, the door swings open and the rest of their family comes in. Surrounded by the faces of those she holds dearest, a warmth spreads through her chest. A deep sense of gratitude and love overtakes her as she fully grasps how much she is cherished. One day, Mimimi decides to host a beauty and makeup class for the Rentaro family. When she announces the session, she gets a mix of reactions. Some of the girls are excited. Harry in particular is thrilled, while others feel a bit hesitant about the idea. Still, Mimimi's enthusiasm is contagious, and they all agree to participate. Rentaro, seeing his girlfriends putting effort into self-care, decides that he should work on himself as well. If they're going the extra mile to enhance their beauty, he figures he should do something to improve himself too. Inspired by the moment, he opts for a jogging session. As he leaves the school, he catches sight of a girl going past him, Meme. He recognizes her from class, but she's always been somewhat distant, never approaching him or the others. She seems to prefer staying unnoticed, always keeping to herself. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind blows through the street. Meme panics, frantically pressing down on her bangs. Even with her skirt billowing, her priority remains to keep her face covered. At the same time, a large signboard is swept up by the wind, heading straight toward her. Realizing that she isn't going to react in time, Rentaro dashes forward, pushing her down with him just as the sign flies past them. The danger passes, and Rentaro quickly gets up, checking to see if she's okay. However, as Meme shifts slightly, a portion of her bangs lifts, revealing one of her eyes. For a brief moment, their gazes meet and both of their hearts skip a beat. The instant she realizes what's happened, Meme immediately presses her bangs down again, refusing to expose any more of her face. After she finally calms down, she quietly thanks him, apologizing for her reaction. She admits that she isn't used to people seeing her face, which is why she always keeps it hidden. Rentaro listens, understanding her feelings, but he can't help but express his concern. She had disregarded her own safety just to keep her bangs in place, something he finds incredibly worrying. Meme is taken aback by his words. Even more shocking to her is the fact that Rentaro not only remembers her as a classmate, but also knows her name. She had assumed that staying behind her bangs had rendered her invisible, a mere background character in the class. However, learning that her attempts to remain unnoticed have actually made her stand out even more completely devastates her. She recalls trying different methods in the past, even wearing a lucha libre mask as a child. But that, too, had only drawn more attention to her. Rentaro can't help but feel sorry for her. He tells her honestly that it's a shame she hides behind her bangs because she has beautiful eyes. The realization that her eyes have been seen once again sends Meme into a panic. Flustered, she quickly turns and flees, but leaves a small bear plushie behind. The next day, Rentaro finds something unusual in his shoe locker, a small hand-knitted penguin plushie, along with a note. In the letter, Meme thanks him for helping her the previous day and reveals that she made the plushie herself as a token of appreciation. Curious and touched by the gesture, Rentaro enters the classroom, eager to thank her properly and compliment her handiwork. However, the moment he approaches her, Meme immediately bolts from the room, leaving behind yet another plushie. Rentaro tries to approach Meme several more times, but each attempt ends the same way. She vanishes without a trace, leaving behind another hand-knitted plush doll. By the nth time, his arms are overflowing with plushies, each a silent token of her fleeting presence. Determined to understand her better, he turns to Nano, Shizuka, Akari, and Karine, who are chatting in the classroom. When he asks what they know about Meme, they all confirm that she is widely known despite her best efforts to remain unnoticed. Rumors suggest she is incredibly beautiful, fact seemingly supported by the striking good looks of her parents. Hyakkano is particularly delighted to hear that Meme is said to have a G-cup, just like her. She wastes no time smugly rubbing this fact in Karine's face, much to Karine's frustration. As the two devolve into playful bickering, Rentaro reflects on everything he has learned. He begins to piece things together. Meme possesses many qualities that others find attractive, yet she rejects attention at all costs. It dawns on him that her beauty, rather than being a blessing, might be the very thing that causes her distress. Rather than embrace it, she hides behind her bangs, using them as a barrier between herself and the world. Later, Rentaro decides to take a different approach. This time, instead of chasing after her, he calls out to her from a distance, his voice filled with sincerity. He apologizes for his thoughtless remark the previous day, acknowledging that calling her cute might have made her uncomfortable, given her extreme shyness. Meme remains hidden behind a wall, hesitating. Unlike before, she doesn't immediately flee. Just as Rentaro contemplates taking more drastic action to coax her out, Meme slowly peeks her head out, her voice barely above a whisper. She confesses that she is in love with him. The moment the words leave her lips, she freezes in horror, realizing what she has just said. Flushed with embarrassment, she vanishes once again, leaving behind yet another plushie. Rentaro tried to see where she went, but he was too late. Suddenly, Meme pokes her head out from a doorway behind him. She reveals that she has been using a technique called misdirection, something she learned from Kuroko no Basket. By dropping a plushie as a distraction, she ensures that no one sees where she actually escapes. Despite her usual shyness, she pleads with Rentaro to forget what she said. She insists that dating is impossible for her. Her overwhelming shyness would prevent them from ever being a normal couple. She wouldn't be able to do even the simplest couple-like activities without panicking. But Rentaro refuses to forget. He tells her that he won't let her run away from her feelings, especially because he has fallen in love with her too. Meme's face turns bright red, overwhelmed by emotions she never expected to be returned. Her shyness reaches a breaking point. It doesn't just make her flustered, it evolves. Before Rentaro can react, she vanishes with such speed that it's as if she was never there. After that, no matter how hard Rentaro tries, he never manages to catch a glimpse of her again. Concern begins to spread among the other girls. They know that Rentaro is trying to help Meme overcome her fears and teach her to appreciate herself rather than hide away. But now it seems like she has retreated even further. The narrator suggests that this may be the final chapter of their story, yet Rentaro refuses to accept that. He refuses to give up on her. As the evening settles in, he continues his search, convinced that she is still somewhere in the school. Rentaro starts piecing things together. Meme always vanishes quickly, leaving behind a knitted plushie, yet she must always be nearby for this to happen. If she is able to disappear so fast, she must be hiding somewhere just out of sight, watching him closely. To test his theory, he quickly glances behind him. As expected, she vanishes instantly, leaving another plushie in her wake. He tries again, and the same thing happens. Determined to finally catch her, he starts looking back in rapid succession, hoping to catch her before she disappears. His strategy works. The constant movement exhausts Meme, forcing her to retreat behind a curtain to catch her breath. Finally, Rentaro seizes the opportunity to approach her, blocking off any escape route. With gentle reassurance, he tells her that it's okay to love him even if she's shy. He promises that no matter where she hides, he will always find her because he wants to be with her. His sincerity reaches her, and for the first time, she allows herself to accept her feelings. When he finally asks her to be his girlfriend, she shyly accepts, willing to try and find happiness with him. However, before they can bask in the moment, a loud ripping sound echoes through the room. Meme freezes in horror. In an instant, her chest almost doubles in size. The intense chase had put too much strain on her chest binder, and it had finally torn apart. Contrary to the rumors that she was a G-cup, her actual size far exceeds that. The next morning, Rentaro introduces Meme as his newest girlfriend to the rest of the group. However, true to her nature, she keeps herself hidden behind him, peeking out style before greeting the other girls and handing them hand-knitted gifts for each of them, thoughtful presents based on their interests. The girls are delighted, gushing over the admirable and detailed craftsmanship. They shower Meme with praise, but the overwhelming attention makes her retreat behind Rentaro once more, unable to handle the compliments. Seeing her discomfort, Rentaro comes up with an idea, a school-wide game of hide and seek. Hahari excitedly ups the stakes by announcing that the winner will receive a kiss from Rentaro. Iku expresses concern, worried that searching the entire school might be too exhausting, but Rentaro reassures her. He declares with confidence that he will travel to the ends of the earth to find them if necessary. With that, the game begins. The girls scatter, given 5 minutes to find their hiding spots. Rentaro starts his search outside and unknowingly passes right beneath Iku and Mei, who are desperately clinging to a ledge above him. They had both chosen the same hiding place, thinking it would be the most difficult to reach. However, now they are suffering for it, their arms trembling from the strain. As Rentaro stops below them to talk to the principal, the two girls struggle to hold on. Eventually, he moves on, completely unaware of their predicament. Meanwhile, in the storage room, Hyakkano and Karane are engaged in a hushed argument, both having picked the same hiding spot. They hide inside a crate. Once they hear Rentaro approach, the cramped space forces Karane's face directly between Hakkari's thighs, and Hakkari struggles to stifle any noises as Karane squirms, causing some teasing in her privates. The awkward tension becomes unbearable. Eventually, they reach their limit and give up, revealing themselves. With Hakkari and Karane now out of the game, they join Rentaro in searching for the others. Their next stop is the science lab, where they hear soft murmurs coming from inside a cabinet drawer. Curious, Rentaro opens it, revealing Kusuri and Mimimi fast asleep, curled up together in the tight space. Pausing for a moment, Rentaro can't help but admire their peaceful sleeping faces. The search team, now joined by Kusuri and Mimimi, makes its way to the library, hoping to find Shizuka. Given her fear of the dark, the others assume she wouldn't dare hide in the dimly lit storeroom at the back. Still, Rentaro decides to check, pushing open the heavy door to reveal a scattered pile of books on the floor. Among them sits an ordinary-looking box, its presence oddly suspicious. Approaching it cautiously, the group lifts the lid, only to be met by two pairs of wide, startled eyes. Inside the box, Nano and Shizuka sit frozen in shock, resembling treasures unearthed from a hidden chest. The way the dim light filters in makes the moment almost surreal. Meanwhile, in the cafeteria, Hahari and Kurumi make the unfortunate mistake of choosing the same hiding spot. The cramped space forces Kurumi into an uncomfortable position, pressed into Hahari, who seems more delighted by the arrangement than concerned about discovery. As footsteps echo closer, Hahari instinctively tightens her grip, unintentionally smothering Kurumi against her chest. Kurumi squirms, struggling against the suffocating warmth. The scent is unexpectedly pleasant, reminiscent of something sweet and comforting. The sharp bite jolts Hahari, who leaps in surprise, unwittingly exposing their location. As she recovers from the shock, Kurumi desperately denies any wrongdoing. With their cover blown, they reluctantly join the growing search party. A few puddles catch Nano's attention. Following the trail, she looks up, spotting Mei and Iku dangling from the ceiling, their arms trembling under the strain. Their endurance reaches its limit, and they finally release their hold. Before they can hit the ground, Rentaro and Hahari move swiftly, catching them with ease. With only Mei left to be found, speculation rises about her whereabouts. Every possible hiding spot has been checked, yet she remains elusive. Just then, the principal appears, still searching for items, struggling under the weight of a large lost-and-found box. A realization dawns on Mei. If Mei isn't hiding in a stationary spot, she must be concealed within something in motion. The group hastily secures permission to inspect the contents of the box. They sift through an assortment of misplaced belongings, and Rentaro spots a plush toy. But Mei is nowhere in sight. Rentaro narrows his gaze, his attention shifting to the principal herself. Something about her appearance seems slightly off. Acting on instinct, he reaches out, fingers slipping through the layers of thick strands and pulls. The principal exhales in relief, finally free of the unexpected burden, before hastily departing in search of more misplaced underwear. Hahari watches her go, briefly contemplating whether termination would be an appropriate response. With the game concluded, Mei is declared the winner. The group showers her with praise, which immediately sends her retreating into another hiding spot out of sheer embarrassment. The moment is short-lived as she timidly reappears, lingering on the edges of their celebration. Then the girls remember the prize, the promise of a kiss. Attention shifts back to Mei, who fusses under the weight of expectation. She hesitates, torn between the desire to accept and the certainty of her own reaction. The inevitable embarrassment, the instinctual retreat, she knows she'll vanish the moment their lips meet. The others, aware of her dilemma, begin brainstorming ways to prevent her from escaping. Yet despite their enthusiasm, Mei remains confident in her ability to disappear. Sensing the growing pressure, Rentaro gently intervenes, suggesting an alternative. A moment shared in private, free from an audience, might make the experience easier for her. The suggestion is met with understanding, and with the matter settled, the group turns its focus to heading home. As they begin their departure, Rentaro lingers behind. The moment he is alone with Mei, he moves swiftly, pressing a soft kiss against her lips before she can fully process what is happening. Mei notices that Rentaro is talking, so she looks back only to find Rentaro by himself and a plushie on the ground. Rentaro doesn't know what to think because this time she disappeared without even a sound. In a wide open field, Karine waits alone, the breeze rustling the tall grass around her. Rentaro eventually appears in the distance, rushing toward her with a bright smile and an apology on his lips. Karine's heart flutters at the sight of him, but her instincts kick in. She accuses Rentaro of making her wait and dramatically claims she's utterly fed up. Her words cut through the air, and Rentaro's smile fades. His expression drops as he suddenly questions his place in her life. Convinced that his girlfriends would be better off without him, he turns away and begins walking into the distance. Karine's facade crumbles. Panic surges through her as she reaches out to him, desperate to call them back, but the words catch in her throat. Rentaro disappears, and she wakes up with a gasp. It was just a dream. As she sits up, she activates her phone. The lock screen greets her with a photo of herself and all the other girls in Rentaro's family, a moment captured in happiness. But the lingering fear from her nightmare haunts her. At school, Rentaro cheerfully gathers the girls, revealing a surprise. A set of special snacks rumored to bring happiness to couples who share them, and he suggests breaking the snacks into 12 even pieces so everyone can enjoy them together. The girls eagerly agree, chatting away and sharing laughter. Only Karine remains aloof, scoffing at the idea and calling it ridiculous. Yet her dream still echoes in her mind. Her heart weighs heavily, reminding her of how easily her stubbornness could hurt Rentaro. As the girls enjoy the snacks, Rentaro notices Karine standing off to the side. Without hesitation, he approaches her and offers a piece of the treat with a warm smile. The opportunity to respond normally is right in front of her, but instead, Karine snatches the snack from his hand and accuses him of wanting money in return. Her own words hit her like a slap. She mentally berates herself, frustrated by her inability to act like a proper girlfriend. To make matters worse, she impulsively shoves a piece of the snack at Rentaro, intending to return the favor. His eye comically makes a chewing motion as if enjoying the treat. The sight leaves the others amazed, while Karane becomes ashamed of her actions. Hyakkano, noticing Karane's tense posture, mistakenly assumes it's due to discomfort from growing pains. With a teasing grin, she comments on Karane's development. Outraged, Karane snaps. In a flurry of frustration, she shoves a snack into Hyakkano's mouth, effectively silencing her. The forceful gesture immediately backfires and Karane attempts to apologize. However, Hyakkano only responds in delight since Karane feeds her directly like a doting girlfriend. Throughout the rest of the afternoon, Karane's thoughts linger on her place in the family. She watches the other girls, admiring how naturally they connect. Even the newest members seamlessly integrate, laughing and playing games without hesitation. Their bonds seem effortless, while Karane continues to struggle. Iku and Kusuri soon draw the group's attention by engaging in an impromptu sumo match. Iku's natural strength quickly dominates the smaller Kusuri, whose competitive spirit flares. Determined not to lose, Kusuri rummages through her uniform for her shape-shifting drug, but is horrified when she learns that she switched it out for her Deet Tsundere Phi drug by mistake. The sight instantly grabs Karane's attention. Kusuri leaves the test tube unattended and eagerly returns to her sumo match with Iku. The vibrant blue liquid inside the vial catches Karane's eye. The memory of her nightmare resurfaces, and the possibility of preventing it from becoming a reality grips her. If this drug could strip away her tsundere tendencies, perhaps she finally avoid pushing Rentaro away. Her hand trembles as she reaches for the test tube. The others are too engrossed in the sumo match to notice her. Kusuri, still struggling against Iku's size and strength, suddenly gets tossed away. She crashes straight into Karane. Panic overtakes Kusuri as she springs up to apologize once she realizes it's Karane she hit. She nervously expects a barrage of insults, fearing Karane's usual temper. But to their astonishment, Karane remains calm. She brushes off the incident, assuring Kusuri that it's fine. Kusuri stares at her in disbelief. Then, just above Karane's head, she notices the unmistakable sight of tsunderes. It doesn't take long for Kusuri to put the pieces together. Karane must have consumed the Deet Tsundere Phi drug. The realization spreads among the group and curiosity builds. As they gather around her, Karane continues to act uncharacteristically sweet and composed. While some girls find her new demeanor pleasant, others grow uneasy, unsettled by the absence of her usual fiery remarks. Sensing an opportunity, Kusuri boldly challenges Karane to a sumo match. Without her tsundere strength, Karane is unable to muster her usual resilience. She's swiftly overpowered, landing on the ground with a soft thud. Kusuri proudly celebrates her victory, savoring the rare triumph. Karane, ever gracious, praises Kusuri's skill, causing the smaller girl to beam with satisfaction. Rentaro watches with concern. The realization hits him. Karane's strength had always been linked to her tsundere spirit. Without it, she's physically weaker. Iku, intrigued by Rentaro's theory, decides to conduct a test. She hands Karane a sturdy bat, instructing her to strike her as hard as she can on the backside. Though confused, Karane complies. She swings the bat, but the impact is nothing more than a gentle tap. Iku barely reacts, her eager anticipation turning into bitter disappointment. The lack of pain confirms Rentaro's suspicion. Amidst the growing tension, Hahari suddenly proposes a questionable solution. She gleefully suggests kissing Karane to provoke a reaction. Before she can act, Hyakkano intervenes, declaring it inappropriate to exploit Karane's altered state. As Hyakkano moves to shield Karane, she unknowingly presses her against her chest. Karane stiffens, overwhelmed by the softness. Her face flushes as she awkwardly tries to avoid reacting. However, Hyakkano seizes the opportunity. Hyakkano grabs Karane's hands and places them directly on her chest, urging her to express her true feelings. With no trace of her usual tsundere filter, Karane timidly compliments Hyakkano's size and softness. Hahari, visibly enraged, accuses her daughter of hypocrisy. Namimi, curious to hear more of Karane's honest thoughts, takes the opportunity to ask her what she thinks of her beauty. Karane responds, sincerely admitting that Namimi is beautiful. Shizuka and Meme grow concerned. They notice how the others are taking advantage of Karane's current state, so they decide to intervene. However, before they can say anything, Karane unexpectedly expresses her desire to learn how to crochet with them. Shizuka and Meme exchange surprised glances. Without a second thought, they eagerly make space for Karane to join them in a cozy crochet session. Witnessing the girls getting along in such harmony, Hahari is overwhelmed with joy. She dramatically declares that she has entered a state of pure bliss and faints on the spot. Hyakkano, watching the heartwarming scene, concludes that she actually prefers this version of Karane. Iku, while agreeing that the current Karane is undeniably cute, reminds everyone that the old Karane had her own charm. She points out how Karane's tsundere nature was never a flaw, it was simply how she expressed her feelings. Her sharp remarks and dramatic reactions were just part of what made her endearing. The girls begin to reflect, realizing that they miss Karane's fiery spirit. One by one, they admit their desire to see old Karane return. Kusuri, determined to fix the situation, declares that she will create a reversal medicine. The group quickly supports the plan, their enthusiasm growing as they anticipate Karane's return to her usual self. However, to everyone's shock, Karane speaks up. She firmly states that she doesn't want to return to her old self. Admitting that she never truly liked her tsundere tendencies, she explains how it felt like a constant battle between her emotions and her pride. Now she enjoys the freedom of expressing her feelings honestly without the fear of pushing people away. Stunned by her confession, the girls fall silent. Rentaro, noticing her sincerity, gently takes her hand and suggests they go for a walk to talk things through. As they stroll hand in hand through the empty school halls, Karane marvels at how natural it feels to be honest about her feelings. She openly admits how comforting it is to hold Rentaro's hand. Rentaro listens patiently, his warm smile never faltering. Then he leads her to the school's garden, where colorful flowers bloom under the fading sunlight. Rentaro asks if she knows why he loves her. Without waiting for a response, he explains that it wasn't just her beauty or kindness that captured his heart, it was her tsundere personality. Her fierce determination, her passionate spirit, and even her flustered outbursts were all part of what made him fall in love with her. He assures her that if she truly wishes to embrace her current self, he will support her wholeheartedly. However, he pleads with her never to speak ill of her old self, because to him, every version of Karane is precious. Tears well up in Karane's eyes as his words resonate within her. Overwhelmed with emotion, she tearfully agrees to return to her old personality. Rentaro embraces her tightly, relieved and happy to have reached her heart. After 5 disastrous attempts, Kuzuri finally succeeds in making a reversal drug, presenting Karane with a glowing blue-colored liquid. Without hesitation, Karane drinks it down. The brilliant golden light envelops her as Kuzuri excitedly explains that the light is Karane reabsorbing the expelled tsunderes from earlier. The others watch in awe, eagerly awaiting the return of their beloved tsundere. But as the light fades, their excitement turns to dismay. Karane's sweet and cute personality is still present. The drug had no effect. Rentaro, refusing to give up, promises to find another solution. With the day growing late, the girls agree to try again tomorrow. The group quickly realizes that they have a new problem. If Karane's parents find out she took a drug to change her personality, there could be major consequences. Since Kuzuri's antidote failed, the girls suggest Karane try faking her tsundere personality until a proper cure is found. Unfortunately, Karane's attempts are disastrous. Trying too hard to act cute, she ends up stumbling through exaggerated insults and awkwardly forced reactions. Hyakkano proposes that Karane stays at her mansion for the night. Since Karane and Hikari are known as close friends, it won't raise any suspicions. Rentaro, sensing the inevitable chaos that might arise from Harry's schemes, volunteers to stay as well. He insists it's to ensure Karane's safety, though he's well aware of Harry's tendency to exploit any situation to satisfy her personal desires. That evening, as expected, Hikari does her best to harass Karane, but Rentaro is somehow able to distract her. Eventually, Hikari is left with Mei for a moment of reprieve while Rentaro, Hikari, and Karane wait for their turn in the bath. Sitting side by side, Hikari wistfully reminisces about the early days when she and Karane were the only 2 girlfriends in Rentaro's life. The nostalgic warmth she feels brings an uncharacteristic tenderness to her gaze. Karane, noticing this, can't help but feel conflicted. Sensing her unease, Rentaro gently takes her hands in his. He assures her that they'll bring her back to normal no matter what. He proposes a new plan to trigger a genuine tsundere reaction. The theory is simple. The more tsundere responses they provoke, the more tsunderes Karane might generate until her personality fully returns. Eager to try, Rentaro dramatically declares his undying love for Karane. Normally, this would result in a barrage of flustered insults and possibly a punch. Instead, Karane reciprocates with an equally enthusiastic confession, leaving Rentaro and Hikari repeatedly confessing to each other back and forth, but Rentaro is able to snap himself out of the moment of bliss to focus on his mission. Desperate, Rentaro hugs Karane tightly, anticipating a fierce shove. But instead, Karane melts into his embrace, happily expressing how much she enjoys the warmth. Hikari, unwilling to be left out, wriggles her way into the hug as well. Realizing their plan has failed yet again, Rentaro pulls away in despair. His resolve weakens further when Hikari suggests they attempt something more intimate to provoke a reaction. Rentaro is appalled when she suggests fondling Karane's chest, though her true motivation is, unsurprisingly, her desire to be fondled next. Reluctantly, Rentaro dons a pair of mechanical gloves designed to prevent him from feeling any sensation. Hikari is visibly disappointed that he had anticipated her ploy and prepared countermeasures. To Rentaro's dismay, Karane responds positively to the awkward fondling, showering him with praise instead of outrage. Hikari, determined to demonstrate how it's done, encourages Rentaro to try it on her next. However, the moment Rentaro's gloved hands touch her, she immediately succumbs to the sensation, admitting that it feels good. The group decides to take a break. Hikari and Karane retreat to the bath where Hikari remains hopeful. She recalls how Karane's tsundere nature had saved her in the past, promising herself she'll do whatever it takes to bring her back. Unfortunately, Hyakkano can't resist the temptation to grope Karane's chest, desperately hoping for a signature tsundere outburst. However, Karane responds with bliss. Meanwhile, Harry, who had been spying on the girls from a hidden vantage point, succumbs to a severe nosebleed from the steamy scene. Collapsing in a pool of her own blood, she is promptly discovered by Mei and Rentaro, who frantically rush her to the other maids. The household scrambles to find another servant with a matching blood type for a transfusion. Back in the bath, Karane offers to wash Hyakkano. Her gentle and innocent touches is electrifying to Hyakkano, who moans out in pleasure. After an evening at the Hanazono household, Rentaro calls his girlfriends over to the school rooftop after classes to share his plan on how to make Karane a tsundere again. Since everyone is capable of generating tsunderes, they can all generate some for Karane to absorb since she is unable to generate enough to maintain her old personality. In order for them to release their tsunderes, everyone will take the DEET tsundere fine drug, which will release the rays while Karane takes the tsundere fine drug to absorb them. However, Rentaro adds that the problem is their tsunderes may not harmonize well and could overwhelm Karane, causing her to pop. To filter the rays, he will take both drugs first before transferring the rays to Karane. He compares this to Goku gathering everyone's energy to charge up the spirit bomb and feeding it to Karane, like how the spirit bomb overwhelmed Majin Buu. The group is slightly concerned about Kurumi since she's pretty tsundere herself. However, Kusuri reassures them that Kurumi's personality is based on being hangry all the time, so her personality won't change as drastically as Karane's. With everyone willing to risk things to bring Karane back, they dub the operation Tsundere, an attempt to generate enough tsunderes to restore Karane. The first to attempt to produce tsunderes is Hyakkano, who expertly acts as if she doesn't want to have Rentaro's babies, even though she immediately admits that she does directly after. Her performance is a success, and she produces the rays to give to Rentaro. She is followed by Shizuka, Kurumi, Mei, Meme, Iku, Hahari, Kusuri, and Mimimi. When Nano tries, she accidentally acts as a Nandere, which delivers a painful cold blow to Rentaro. After another try, she manages with great difficulty, and soon all the girls' tsunderes are absorbed into a giant spirit bomb above Rentaro. Looking at the glowing orb in awe, the girls realize that it's the same size as the tsunderes Karane lost yesterday. Rentaro attempts to hand it over to Karane, but has trouble filtering all the emotions due to the chaotic mix of the different personalities of the girls. Karane notices him struggling and tries to offer words of comfort and encouragement, but Rentaro ends up saying something that its tsundere would typically say. Rentaro is taken aback by his own words, realizing that the old Karane had been fighting to speak her mind every day against a similar internal force. He suddenly understands how precious Karane is for being able to express her love in rare moments despite battling her tsundere personality. If Karane could withstand it, then he should as well because he is her boyfriend. Confessing that he loves Karane, he sends the ball of tsunderes over to her. Karane stands ready to receive everything and begins to glow gold as her body tries to absorb the overwhelming energy. Rentaro attempts to rush to her side when he notices that Karane is in pain, but Kusuri stops him, explaining that Karane needs to want this without their physical help. As a way to show his support, Rentaro decides to cheer Karane on, encouraging her to return to her old personality. The other girls also call out their support, expressing their desire for her to return safely as they watch her absorb the tsunderes. Once everyone has shared their words of encouragement, they band together, their voices echoing in unity as Karane struggles to absorb all the rays. A sudden flash of gold blinds them temporarily. When their vision clears, they see Karane standing silently in the middle. They anxiously ask if she's back, and to everyone's immense relief, she responds in her usual tsundere manner. Overwhelmed with joy, they rush to envelop her in a group hug. Flustered, Karane pushes them all away, her tsundere instincts taking over. Despite the rough treatment, everyone is overjoyed to have the old Karane back. The excitement turns into a spontaneous celebratory cheer and dance. Amid the celebration, Karane interrupts to thank everyone. Expecting a tearful reaction, she is surprised when the girls instead appear disappointed. It seems they suspect she might not be entirely back to her old self. Annoyed, Karane vows never to show affection again. However, that resolve quickly falters when Rentaro approaches her and offers a welcome-back kiss, which she eagerly accepts, melting into his embrace. With their ordeal finally over, the girls can spend a peaceful afternoon together. Seizing the moment, Mimimi decides to share her love story with Rentaro. She fondly recalls how brave and thoughtful he was when a couple tried to bully them. Despite the situation, Rentaro didn't hesitate to show kindness, which she describes as the most beautiful thing she had ever witnessed, the very moment she fell for him. Inspired by Mimimi's story, Meme shyly shares her own experience, even breaking the fourth wall by mentioning how she nearly ended the anime in a single episode when Rentaro almost didn't find her. However, something begins to bother Mimimi, and she voices her concern. According to the manga, which the anime follows, she and Meme weren't supposed to appear yet. This realization leaves her questioning their place in the story. The other girls immediately reassure them, insisting they are already part of the family and undeniably belong in the anime. They suggest it might be the director's decision or a publishing mix-up that caused the timeline shift. Nano seems to recall something important, but Shizuka quickly intervenes, realizing that revealing more would only worsen Meme and Mimime's worries about their roles in Rentaro's life. Trying to lighten the mood, Hahari steers the conversation back to their feelings for Rentaro. Suddenly, it dawns on everyone that they haven't said "I love you" to him in quite some time. Hahari blames her shyness for holding back, but Kurumi immediately disagrees, pointing out that Hahari is far from shy since she constantly showers them with affection. Hahari insists that her feelings for Rentaro are different from the affection she shows the girls, but she struggles to articulate the distinction. The girls begin to worry if they have been expressing their love to Rentaro properly. They realize that poor communication is one of the leading causes of relationship failure, and several of them tend to be quite timid when it comes to openly declaring their affection. Just then, Rentaro finally joins the girls on the rooftop. He explains that he was delayed because he had been helping a teacher move 10,000 boxes. As he arrives, he notices all the girls sitting on a mat, staring at him with an unusual intensity. Curious and slightly concerned, he wonders if something has happened. Without hesitation, Kusuri is the first to run up to him, throwing her arms around him in an affectionate hug. She openly declares her love for him, adding a playful remark about one of his little habits. She also thanks him for willingly serving as her voluntary experiment, never questioning the types of medicines she has him take. The other girls listen in horror, but Rentaro is too overwhelmed by Kusuri's unexpected confession to react. Her heartfelt words bring tears to his eyes. Encouraged by the emotional moment, Nano takes the opportunity to speak on behalf of everyone. She sincerely thanks Rentaro for his unwavering love and dedication, acknowledging the immense effort he puts into ensuring each of them feels equally cherished and cared for. She emphasizes how no normal boyfriend could possibly manage what he does. In response, Rentaro modestly reveals that he even practices mannequins at home to ensure he treats them all fairly. Finally, Nano expresses her gratitude once again, thanking him for the happiness he brings into their lives. Rentaro's tears intensified, overwhelmed by the warmth of her words. Feeling a newfound rush of confidence, Iku rises to confess her own feelings. She describes Rentaro as her greatest inspiration, recalling how he supported her even after their baseball practice match. However, a sudden dirty expression crosses her face, making the girls question whether she's still talking about baseball. Once Iku regains her composure, she steps forward to proudly declare her love for him. Rentaro's tears nearly double in volume as she wraps him in a tight hug. Next, Shizuka uses her phone to deliver her confession. Her message surprises the girls when she casually mentions how Rentaro often carries her around. However, the mood quickly shifts as her heartfelt words shine through. She calls Rentaro her greatest treasure, leaving him visibly moved. Before Rentaro can recover, Hikari eagerly picks up where Shizuka left off. Her message starts sweet and thoughtful, expressing her deep affection for him. However, it quickly takes a more risque turn when she gleefully mentions how Rentaro tends to fondle her chests. This comment instantly enrages Karine. She swiftly turns her frustration on Rentaro, duplexing him without a second thought. Realizing she had accidentally blurted out her fantasies, Hikari becomes flustered and apologetic. Karine too tearfully apologizes for taking her anger out on Rentaro once again. Rentaro carefully comforts both of them, already used to the antics of his first two girlfriends. Taking one of Rentaro's hands that was comforting her, Hikari gently brings it to her face. She begins a heartfelt thank you, her breathtaking smile catching Rentaro off guard. The sincerity of her expression overwhelms him, causing him to stumble and fall backward. Rentaro immediately apologizes, flustered, and tries to pull away. However, Hahari wraps her arms around him, pulling him back into her embrace. She fondly rubs his head, speaking softly about how much she loves him. She also wonders aloud why Karine is so against affectionate gestures like this when Rentaro seems more than willing to receive them. With a voice full of warmth, she thanks Rentaro simply for being born and finding his way into her heart. Moved by the moment, Mei quickly steps forward to express her own love and gratitude. Having spent most of her life serving Hahari and her family, she had never seen Hahari so genuinely happy until Rentaro entered their lives. Mei also treasures Rentaro for teaching her about the concept of give and take, something she had never experienced before. The fact that he reciprocates her love means the world to her. Rentaro, overwhelmed by her touching words, bursts into tears, but Mimimi quickly grabs his hand and pulls him back. She tells him how honored she feels to be his muse, playfully adding that his beauty could easily be classified as SSSSSSSSS rank. Loving him, she says, has inspired her to become even more beautiful, both for his sake and her own. Peeking shyly from behind Rentaro, Meme nervously gathers the courage to confess her feelings. However, the moment Rentaro turns to face her, she panics and uses her substitution technique, disappearing from sight. Despite remaining hidden, her voice gently whispers her confession and an apology for her overwhelming shyness. Rentaro, gazing at the sky, vows to be patient with her. He promises to let her set the pace of their relationship. Touched by his understanding, Meme slowly emerges from her hiding spot, clutching a small plush bear. Determined to face him properly, she softly begins confessing anew. When Rentaro moves to embrace her, she once again vanishes, leaving only the bear plush for him to hold in her place. Kurumi and Karane exchange glances, realizing they are the only two left who haven't confessed. Kurumi bravely takes the lead, starting by thanking Rentaro for all the snacks he brings her. However, she grows more emotional as she admits how much it means to her that Rentaro loves her, despite her being younger than the other girls. She feels genuinely important in his eyes. Karane, however, scolds Kurumi for making such a bashful confession. Kurumi, in turn, retorts that it's Karane's fault since she spent the previous episode under the influence of the Deet Sundere fine drug, shamelessly declaring her love for Rentaro. The memory floods Karane's mind, making her crouch in embarrassment. Rentaro quickly tries to reassure her, saying she doesn't need to confess again, especially since she's just recovered. But Karane, now fueled by determination, angrily stands up. With unwavering resolve, she loudly declares her love for everything about Rentaro. Her powerful confession sends shockwaves through Rentaro's tear ducts. Hikari feels that Karane's confession was a little too much since it completely stole the spotlight. But Ahari, unwilling to let the moment be ruined, simply pulls Akari back into her chest to calm her down. Once Rentaro finally regains his composure, he looks at all of his girlfriends, their faces filled with anticipation. He tenderly calls out each of their names one by one and with a heart full of sincerity, confesses that he loves everything about them. But Rentaro doesn't stop there. Speaking rapidly, he begins listing specific quirks and qualities he adores about each girl. The list is so extensive that it spills over the end credits, running at super fast speed. Even as the ending theme plays, Rentaro continues to passionately voice every little thing he loves about them. By the time he finishes, the girls feel deeply cherished and loved.